on this chilly Thursday morning here. In about 15 minutes, they're going to hold a briefing. So that's why I'm up a little bit early to hear what they have to say. Especially with this a little bit of a confusion about the gas field yesterday. Was it a joint operation? Was it Israel acting alone? There's a lot of, I don't know, miscommunication going on. I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure. I don't pay attention to mainstream media. But they're saying that they're asking for $200 billion budget to continue this campaign. Because nobody wants to call it really a war. For whatever reason. It is a war. We're at war with Iran. I don't know how else you could spin it. Okay, let's get ready. I don't think Iran would look at it as some type of campaign, that's for sure. But let's see what they have to say this morning. I'm just going to go and fix this Rumble. I'm just going to put the same description in both. Save. Okay, good. All right. And good morning. Yes, it's early here. It's not even 8 a.m. Quarter of. Good morning, Dagger. You're up early. I'll tell you one thing. It's not easy to get up early without coffee. That I will say. Can't start the day without a fresh cup of coffee. I just couldn't do it. So in about 15 minutes, I have Fox News. We will not be able to see it. We can hear it for copyright issue reasons on YouTube, for sure. If it was Rumble, it'd be different. You're always up early? But no, cannot, not while we're on YouTube. It's a shame. It's actually a shame because it's public domain information, a briefing like that. But it is what it is. And I already got hit last week, so I can't afford to get hit again. Because the next hit will be a month. 30 days. I can't afford to lose 30 days. Okay. I'll just put this in. I'm just putting my link on Facebook. 4 is the earliest you get up? Well, I don't get up that early. I can tell you that. Let me check this. That's way too early for me. Way too early. All right, let's check out a couple of things before we pay attention to this. They usually don't start on time. Usually not. I had a busy day today. I hear you. I hear you, Dagger. I hear you. All right, let's see. I downloaded a couple of videos. Well, this Basij he's like a high-ranking official in the Basij in Iran, is now also eliminated. He's bye-bye. They are really, really doing a number. People expect these things to end in 2 weeks. It doesn't take 2 weeks. This takes time. But people don't realize they are getting decimated. Not just in the field of battle, but commanders, regime, mullahs, they're getting decimated. And if we rush this and say, okay, we want to, because I seen it this morning. I just put the TV on. I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they talking about? We want him to end it right away. You don't end it now. Not when you started this. I said this before this started. Once it starts, there's no turning back. Now you have to complete it. You have to complete the mission. You don't stop it half-ass in the middle and say, okay, we want it just to stop now. It's too late for that. Now you got to finish the mission. And he was saying, what is the mission? I mean, could you imagine this happening during the 40s? During World War II? Could you imagine? Could you? The press and everything else acting the way they do, politicians in the middle of a war? I can't. And I'm not a person of war. I'm a person of peace. But my gosh, they need to stop. It's too late for that. And I said it before this all started. Once we start this, there's no turning back. We're in. That's it. We're all in. What do they expect them to do? Stop now while they've got the regime and the military basically on their knees and in hiding? And I watched something last night that was so incredible. And showing, and I don't know if it's true, because I don't want to be putting out information that is not accurate because I got hit last week for that. But they're saying that they're hitting these underground facilities in Iran and are trapping, but I don't want to say the number, but let's just say thousands of soldiers, personnel, scientists, engineers, that were in these underground tunnel systems that hold the missiles and launchers and everything. They're trapped. They're trapped. They know where they are. It's ridiculous. It gets so ridiculous, the negativity. Listen, there's always risks involved, but the potential here will change the world moving forward, period. And people don't realize it affects us. Yes, it affects the United States. How did this has nothing to do with us? Oh, yes, it does. This will continue to be a direct threat through proxies. People want to talk about the border, whatever they want to discuss. This is a constant threat coming from the Islamic regime and Islamic extremists. Period. Period. This has to come to an end. Think how much money, everything is always economic, and we know what we're going through here with the gas. Think of the economic issues over decades of having to put people overseas, bases, all contingencies, all these things we had to do to deter Iran and their proxies. That's what it was all about. What about Beirut, Lebanon? What about the coal? What about the IDEs? I mean, it all comes from Iran. They're the ones that have destabilized that region for decades. It's also about the China-Russia influence. At one time, the United States used to have a global presence and was known to be a force. What are we just supposed to cower now? My gosh, what is wrong with people? We see it from the other countries. Really, especially like France and the UK, which is really a disgrace. because they have to worry about their own internal issues and what they have to deal with that extremism in their countries, and they're scared to death. And that's why. But they created that problem themselves. They created that problem by allowing it. Well, you think look, there are a lot of great people out there of all ethnic backgrounds, religious, whatever. But there's always that extremism, the radicalization. And you have to try to filter that out as much as possible. Background checks, vetting people. What? You just let anybody walk in? Not knowing their true intent? What about the Cold War, when we had Soviet spies here as families? Married couples with children. I mean, did you ever see, what was that TV show that was excellent? I can't remember what it was, but it had to do with that particular subject matter of having a Soviet spy family here. It was excellent. That was an excellent show. But, I mean, my gosh, what the heck? They don't get it. They just don't get it. Look, peace finally could happen. And I'm going to tell you, Saudi Arabia, I saw the press conference last night. The Saudis are leading the charge. It looks like if Iran continues to barrage Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, all those countries, if they continue their shit, I think Saudi Arabia is going to take the lead, and they're going to fight back. But they may not fight back in connecting to what we're doing. They're just doing it to defend their sovereignty. They have to make that clear, to separate. What they're doing is separate from what we're doing with Israel. They're actually protecting their own sovereignty. There is some videos that I got to get to, but we got to get ready for this briefing. They're hitting targets in the Caspian Sea now. The Russians are still sending supplies. By the way, you're looking at northern Israel. The Russians are still sending supplies to northern Iran. Well, we hit them. We didn't hit the Russians. We hit the Iranian targets, the Navy, to the north in the Caspian Sea. And you got to see these crazy people. I'm talking about the radicalization. I'm not going to update this because it's going to make my video card wants an update. It'll make my screens go berserk. Let me show you. I mean, I downloaded a video to give people an example of how cray-cray they are. And it's a lot of these younger people who have been manipulated since they were children and indoctrinated. But let me just get to this quick because we got to cover this press conference. Well, it's not a press conference, it's a briefing. So this guy's gone. I was saying that when I first came on. This Basij, senior official in Iran. This is those creeps that terrorize the people. One of them. And the other Basij commander was taken out the other night. But let's get to videos quick because we have to get ready. We're going to save this one for last. It is crazy. All right, let me get this on the main screen and put the volume on. There is no volume on this video, but this is the targets they were hitting. So this is a helicopter in Hamadan. This is, I believe the Israelis released this one. And you know, I'm really concerned about these helicopters being used against the people of Iran, the ones that they got from Russia, the attack helicopters. I'm really afraid. I've been saying this for weeks since I found out that they were doing it. I'm afraid they're going to use those on their own people. They're not going to use it against us or the Israelis. They're going to use it against their own people. When they go out to start revolting again, it's not protests. They want their country back. Yeah, I mean, we have to decapitate the IRGC. They are the ones that are strangleholding the country. They're the ones that hold all the cards. Forget about the regime members. It's the IRGC. You have to decapitate the IRGC. It's the only way. And let them finish the job. My God, we got them in. We got them in a. I'm telling you right now, they're feeling it right now. Every day that goes by, they're getting pounded. And people can't rush this. I mean, my gosh. This is the third week. And people are like, let's stop. Stop. What do you mean stop? Let it go on for a few more weeks. Let them get decimated. We already decimated them quite a bit. Oh my gosh. And if you watch Secy was right. This was the judge they targeted. The judge that sentenced people to death after the revolt, the uprising. That was his vehicle. Secy was right. Because I like to confirm things before I put them out. The Israelis released this too. Targeting the Basish. This is very important. This is a very important phase. You want to start clearing out the streets of Iran so that the people can rise up and fight against and take their country back. This is the phase. They've already crippled, but not all of it yet, but they're getting there. They've already crippled their missile launch capability by taking out a lot of their launchers, underground missile silos and facilities. Now it's just they're shooting and we hit. We know where they come from. Boom, gone. They don't have much left. You don't give up now. Here's the Navy that they're hitting now in the Caspian. To the north. The Russians are supplying them still. Well, we're targeting that port now. This was released by us. They're going after them now. This is important because the Russians are still sending in supplies. It's in the Caspian Sea. They are all young people. And Mary, that's the last video I was going to share before let me check if this briefing is going on. I don't want to miss the briefing. All right, Fox News is, we're only going to hear it. I can't show it. I'm watching Fox News for the coverage. You know they are. Remember what you just said in chat. IRGC is all young people. Watch this video. I downloaded this video to give you an example of what the heck is going on with these nut job young people that have been indoctrinated and brainwashed since childhood for the regime. Get ready for this. I was like, oh, they're crazy. Let's just watch this. This is where, and he's dressed in his uniform and everything.
Iranian military will love you. Look at it. If Ayatollah decided to attack you, I am ready to every children, every Jewish children, 2-year-old, 1-year-old, your women, your wife, every person is Iran military is ready to any Jewish people as Adolf Hitler do that. I'm ready to destroy my life, destroy my money for everything to the Jewish people.
Okay.
It's my aim.
My aim is for the people of Iran to be liberated from the Ayatollah regime and the IRGC. If you serve in the IRGC, I wish you to be eliminated as well.
Every Iranian is Iranian military, like me. I'm 20 years old. I'm so young. And I'm ready to give my life for my country. It's my honor. I'm not your friends in Europe. They spare from the war. No. I grew up with the guns, with the wars. And it's honor to me to take my life for my country.
Don't you want to live in peace?
Peace? No, what is the peace? Peace must be in my country.
Do you not want to live in peace in Iran, where people can dress however they like, when people can walk wherever they want?
We are in peace.
No, you're not.
When
You're oppressing women. You're oppressing gay people. You're not in peace.
Want to stop Iran producing atomic bomb.
Iran is producing atomic bomb to use it against Israel and against America, the little Satan and the big Satan. Once you have atomic bomb, what do you want to do with the atomic bomb?
I put in Israel.
That's exactly why Israel attacked in Iran.
Exactly. Boom.
Iranian military.
This is exactly what you just said, Marianne, in chat. This is the younger generation that they've indoctrinated and have brainwashed and manipulated to believe that. That's scary. And there's a lot of them. A lot of the young people are like that in the IRGC. And that's scary. And that he said it clearly. Would use the atomic bomb in Israel. So it's not a threat. You're hearing it directly from an IRGC soldier, 20 years old. It's sick. And this isn't a problem? It's a major problem. And God forbid something happens in our country here in the United States. God forbid. It would only get worse. It's not going to get better. The threat exists. I mean, this is scary stuff. And it's important to see that. This is their way of thinking. This is how they think. And you have to remove the cancer. You have to remove that ideology. It's so radical, extremist. It's got to go. And that's the way I look at it. I mean, I don't think there's any other practical way to look at this. So, why is it asking me to sign into Fox when I'm already watching Fox? Okay. It's an ad. They are already here. Did you see? I was watching Steve, and let me tell you, people criticize Secy for clickbaiting and all that. That man is on the money. When Secy discusses something, he's ahead of it. He's got his finger right there. He's got it. And I know there are some people that complain about it, but Secy's the man. I mean, really. He puts out really relevant information before it gets out there in the mainstream. Way before the mainstream gets a hold of it. Now, I'm a little more cautious about putting videos on because I want to make sure that they're credible and they're vetted. But like somebody in chat yesterday put a video post, I think it was Lorenzo, and it showed what happened in Beirut. They took a building down. I think it was in southern Lebanon. I don't know exactly. And I was a little unsure of putting it. Secy showed it. And I said, that's the same one. What is that? I'm hearing some weird, like trumpety sounds. Did you hear that? I heard some weird sounds just now. We're waiting. In Israel under alert. I'm reading the headlines on Fox. Iran hits Gulf countries, energy sites in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. They had an emergency meeting yesterday. And they're not happy because as this meeting was going on, Iran was attacking. To try to intimidate them. The Saudis have finally looked like they developed a spine overnight and said if they need to cease immediately, I'm paraphrasing, their attacks on our countries. And if they don't, we may have the military option. How long can these countries sit by, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, etc., before they retaliate? It's got to happen. And Iran is really playing with fire, literally here. What is going on? My computer wants to do all kinds of updates at the wrong time. But they've got to do something, but they're going to do it separate, but they have to be in coordination with the U.S. and Israel. If they're going to start trying to attack sites in Iran to retaliate, because we can't have, I don't want to say a blank storm of lack of communication where there's all kinds of planes flying over the area and there's no communication. It's got to be coordinated in some way. Okay, here we go.
Well, good morning. Yesterday at Dover Air Force Base, President Trump, the chairman, and I stood in solemn silence as heroes came home. Flag-draped caskets, we honored them. We grieved with their families, and we listened. What I heard through tears, through hugs, through strength, and through unbreakable resolve was the same from family after family. They said, finish this. Honor their sacrifice. Do not waver. Do not stop until the job is done. My response, along with that of the president, was simple. Of course, we will finish this. We will honor their sacrifice. Their sacrifice only steals our commitment. I wear this bracelet. Staff Sergeant Jorge Oliveira, he was one of my sergeants, or one of my specialists in Guantanamo Bay. He deployed later to Afghanistan, where he was killed on 19 October 2011. Killed 10 years after 9/11, 15 years ago. He was one of the 1%, the best of America. Not just a guardsman, but a law enforcement officer back home and a family man. I remember him every day, just like so many other men and women of our generation and previous generations who wear bracelets like this. Just as we will always remember those lost in this conflict. Their names are now etched into our mission and into the soul of a grateful nation. I stand here today speaking to you, the American people, not through filters, not through reporters, not through cable news spin. A dishonest and anti-Trump press will stop at nothing. We know this at this point. To downplay progress, amplify every cost, and call into question every step. Sadly, TDS is in their DNA. They want President Trump to fail. But you, the American people, know better. Yes, there are reporters in front of me, but they are not our audience today. It's you, the good, decent, patriotic American people. You, the hardworking, tax-paying, God-fearing American patriots. The media here, not all of it, but much of it, wants you to think, just 19 days into this conflict, that we're somehow spinning toward an endless abyss or a forever war or a quagmire. Nothing could be further from the truth. Hear it from me, one of hundreds of thousands who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, who watched previous foolish politicians like Bush, Obama, and Biden squander American credibility. This is not those wars. President Trump knows better. Epic fury is different. It's laser focused. It's decisive. Our objectives, given directly from our America First president, remain exactly what they were on day one. These are not the media's objectives, not Iran's objectives, not new objectives, our objectives, unchanged, on target, and on plan. Destroy missiles, launchers, and Iran's defense industrial base so they cannot rebuild. Destroy their navy, and Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Our objectives from day one. To the patriotic members of the press, nobody can deliver perfection in wartime. This building knows that more than anyone. But report the reality. We're winning decisively and on our terms. Iran is a vast country, and just like Hamas and their tunnels, they've poured any aid, any economic development, humanitarian aid into tunnels and rockets.
Billions for decades.
Iran has funneled decades of state resources, not to their people, but into missiles and drones and proxies and buried facilities. But we are hunting them down methodically, ruthlessly, and overwhelmingly, like no other military in the world can do. And the results speak for themselves. To date, we've struck over 7,000 targets across Iran and its military infrastructure. That is not incremental. That is overwhelming force applied with precision. And again, today will be the largest strike package yet, just like yesterday was. As I've said from day one, our capabilities continue to build. Iran's continue to degrade. We're hunting and striking death and destruction from above. Iran's air defenses flattened. Iran's defense industrial base, the factories, the production lines that feed their missile and drone programs, being overwhelmingly destroyed. We've hit hundreds of their defense industrial bases directly. Their ability to manufacture new ballistic missiles has probably taken the hardest hit of all. Ballistic missile attacks against our forces, down 90% since the start of the conflict. Same with one-way attack UAVs. Think kamikaze drones, down 90%. Now, the Iranians will still shoot, we know that, but they would shoot a lot more if they could, but they can't. The last job anyone in the world wants right now? Senior leader for the IRGC, or Besiege. Temp jobs, all of them. And to borrow a page from Admiral Ernest King in World War II, we've decided to share the ocean with Iran. We've given them the bottom half. We've damaged or sunk over 120 of their Navy ships, with battle damage assessments pending for many more. See, oftentimes we have to wait a few days on battle damage assessment to get the real number. Their surface fleet is no longer a factor. Their submarines, they once had 11, are gone. Their military ports are crippled. Iran has terrorized the United States and our interests for 47 years. Their core industries, not steel or agriculture, or tourism. Their core industries are state-sponsored terrorism, proxy militias, underground networks, ballistic missiles, and a violent, messianic, Islamist ideology chasing some sort of apocalyptic endgame. A regime like that, refusing to abandon its nuclear ambitions, is not just a regional problem. It's a direct threat to America, to freedom, and to civilization. The world, the Middle East, our ungrateful allies in Europe, even segments of our own press should be saying one thing to President Trump. Thank you. Thank you for the courage to stop this terror state from holding the world hostage with missiles while building or attempting to build a nuclear bomb. Thank you for doing the work of the free world. Yesterday's ceremony reminded us why we fight. Not for nation building or democracy promotion, but to crush direct threats to America, Americans, and our interests. We fight to win, and we are winning on our terms, following our objectives. My 13-year-old son popped into my office last night while I was editing these remarks. He asked about the war and the families I met at Dover. And I looked at him and I said, they died for you, son, so that your generation doesn't have to deal with a nuclear Iran. It's the truth. And they did. So to the families who said, finish this, we will. And I say the same to every American who wants peace through strength. May Almighty God continue to bless our troops in this fight. And again, to the American people, please pray for them every day, on bended knee, with your family, in your schools, in your churches, in the name of Jesus Christ. To the troops, keep going, and Godspeed. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you all for being here. I also had the honor yesterday, as the Secretary said, of traveling up to Dover with the President to welcome home our six fallen. It was an honor and a privilege for me to be there and to say thank you to their families. And I want to mention their names this morning. From the 6th Aerial Refueling Wing out of MacDill Air Force Base, Florida, but stationed as part of an active associate unit at Birmingham, Alabama, Major Alex Klenner, John Alex Klenner, Major Ariana Savino. She was posthumously promoted from captain to major, and Technical Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, the boom operator on that crew. From the 121st Aerial Refueling Ring, Ohio Air National Guard out of Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base in Columbus, Ohio, Captain Seth Koval, Captain Curtis Anks, and now Master Sergeant Tyler Simmons, who was also promoted in the boom operator on that crew.
To a person and every family member I spoke with yesterday, they all shared that their family members loved serving, they loved being part of a great team and a crew, and they loved airplanes and aviation. Our nation's tanker crews really are unsung heroes, incredible warriors who put their lives on the line so we can continue to take the fight to an enemy. I've personally witnessed their courage and tenacity many times, from the morning of September 11th, where they answered my call for some help, to the skies over foreign countries where they've come forward out of their safe tanker track to give me gas when I simply could not leave a ground force that was engaged in a firefight. They've answered the call and come forward time and time and time again. I'm filled with incredible pride and gratitude for all that the tanker crews do, our pilots, our boom operators, and the maintainers. And to the families of our 6 fallen, know that we share your grief. Our nation will never forget their sacrifice, and we will never forget their names. Our entire joint force mourns with you today, and will continue to remember their incredible gift of a great example for all of us. Now let me turn to an operations update. U.S. CENTCOM remains on plan to achieve our military objectives and remain unrelenting in our pursuit of Iranian missile capabilities, UAV capabilities, and their Navy, and as the Secretary said, their industrial base. Each day we continue to attack deeper into Iranian territory. As reported by U.S. Central Command yesterday, the U.S. military dropped 5,000-pound penetrator weapons into underground storage facilities, storing coastal defense cruise missiles and other support equipment. These weapons are bespokely designed to get through concrete and/or rocks and function after penetrating those barriers. We continue to hunt and kill mine storage facilities and naval ammunition depots. We continue to hunt and kill afloat assets, including more than 120 vessels and 44 mine layers, and the pressure will continue. We're flying further to the east now and penetrating deeper into Iranian airspace to hunt and kill one-way attack garrisons, destroying Iran's ability to project power outside of its borders. The A-10 Warthog is now in the fight across the southern flank and is hunting and killing fast attack watercraft in the Straits of Hormuz. In addition, AH-64 Apaches have joined the fight on the southern flank, and they continue to work on the southern side, and that includes some of our allies who are using Apaches to handle one-way attack drones. In Iraq, AH-64s have been striking against Iranian-aligned militia groups to make sure that we suppress any threat in Iraq against U.S. forces or U.S. interests. And we remain focused on pursuit of any platform that Iran could field to harm Americans or our partners. Last Friday, Admiral Cooper and the CENTCOM team conducted precision strikes against more than 90 targets on Karg Island, which included all of their military-only infrastructure, which included air defenses, naval base, mine storage, and deployment facilities. And as the Secretary mentioned, we continue to strike against Iran's defense industrial base and will continue to do so. Today, I want to continue my theme of talking about members of our incredible joint force. Today, I want to talk about some exceptional airmen who are engaged in the fight daily. United States Air Force, Air Force Reserve, and Air National Guard crews within our bomber force, the B-1s, B-2s, and B-52s, and the airmen on the ground who maintain and load these weapon systems. They are the backbone of America's long-range strike capability, and their contributions to Epic Fury have been decisive. Assigned to STRATCOM under Admiral Rich Correll and supported by TRANSCOM, the tanker force that we've talked about, under the command of General Randall Reed, every mission is designed to achieve overwhelming outcomes on behalf of the United States and our allies. Last weekend, I had the chance to go out and see some of our deployed bomber forces, the B-1 and B-52 crews, and I had a chance to sit down with some young aviators and maintainers and ask them, how do you feel? Tell me about your typical day. And these are crews comprised of between 2 and 5 airmen, 2 on the B-2s, 5 on the B-52s, and 4 in the B-1s out there. Some of these Americans are in their early or mid-20s, and we give them the gift of this incredible responsibility, hundreds of thousands of pounds of aircraft, and they take off and go do our work as required. Their mission actually begins the day prior when they're given a target or a bunch of targets, and they begin to study those targets, look at what are the effects required, what are the weapons required to get there, how will we program these weapons, what is the weather, what is the tanker flow. It's an incredibly complex problem that we give each and every one of these crews, and they work it over the period of 24 hours prior, get some rest, and then step out the door to go fly. The last thing they do is they check all of their equipment, their oxygen mask, survival gear, load pistols, and get ready to go. They crank the jets about an hour prior to takeoff and then launch into the daylight, doing their pre-flight checks, and as the kids say, lock in and prepare to go to war, sometimes on a long and stressful journey. During the flight, they're surrounded by technology and capabilities, and they'll do multiple aerial refueling efforts across tankers on the way to the AOR, area of responsibility, either coming from the States or coming from a forward deployed basing. And I will tell you, as a fighter pilot, getting gas is a lot easier in an F-16 than it is in a B-1, B-2, or a B-52, where you are handling this airplane. It is a physical thing, unlike a fighter that's a lot easier. And they stay on that boom for sometimes up to 30 minutes, taking hundreds of thousands of pounds of gas. It is a physical, demanding thing to take gas, and they do it multiple times on the way there, and they do it multiple times on the way home. As they enter the operating area, they bring the entirety of America's joint force together to go do the things that we've tasked them to do, to put bombs on time, on target, with the proper effects. And I know they're feeling a range of emotions, but the thing the American people should take away from it is they're filled with a focus that is incredibly impressive. And they have fear, of course, but their bigger fear is, dear God, please don't let me screw this up, the warrior's prayer that we all have in our souls. In the days of epic fury, they were shooting, as we've talked about in this room, a lot of standoff weapons. Now we've switched and rolled, as I mentioned last week, to stand-in weapons. And behind each and every one of them are incredible maintainers and weapons builders who go out there and make sure these aircraft and their weapon systems are ready to go. These airplanes are so big that they're not in hangars. They're out in the cold, out in the snow, out in the rain. The bombs are being built outside for protection and to make sure that it's safe, and they do it 24/7, 365. It's not comfortable work, but when you go spend just a minute with these incredibly young Americans who are so motivated, you cannot come away from that exchange not being hopeful for America's future. It is simply awesome. And we hand these Americans, young Americans, incredible and weighty responsibility, and they deliver every single time. Quietly, with professionalism and humility, doing the things that we ask them to do. In conclusion, we will continue major combat operations. As the Secretary said, we continue to get busier. I know the Secretary and I share that we're incredibly proud of 2.8 million members of our joint force. I am personally, and we are personally grateful for the tenacity and professionalism of the brave men and women who serve inside STRATCOM, CENTCOM, SPACECOM, CYBERCOM, TRANSCOM, and the rest of the joint force. And I'll close where I started. I ask today that we remember those 6 fallen that came home. They represent the best of our nation. For those families that are feeling the pain, know that we are with you and will remain with you. May we always prove worthy of their sacrifice, and I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. take a couple questions.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Given the updated degradation in strike target numbers you laid out, how close would you say we are towards achieving the President's objectives, and what is the end game of the operation without divulging any sensitive battle plans?
Well, we wouldn't want to set a definitive time frame on that, but as we've said, we're on plan. So we're looking at those metrics very closely, relaying that to the President and the National Security Team, but feel confident that again, we're more stand in means we're over the top, even further in, and we have even more of an exact sense of what we're striking and why, and even more dynamically, meaning because the intelligence improves, we're able to more quickly identify targets when let's say they come out of an underground facility where they've been hiding and able to strike it before it strikes or right after it shoots. But we're very much on plan, and that's why I want to speak to the American people here. You hear a lot of noise about widening or new missions or speculation about what we should or should not be doing. This is a clear set of objectives. The President has given us every capability we need to accomplish that. We've got the best in the world in uniform executing it on the ground. They believe in and are invested in this mission, and it will be at the President's choosing, ultimately, where we say, hey, we've achieved what we need to on behalf of the American people to ensure our security. So no time set on that, but we're very much on track. Absolutely. Yes, right here.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary. David Zier, Real America's Voice News. What countries have been the most cooperative with us, including the Gulf states, as Europe hedges? And I also wanted to ask you, the internet blackouts by the regime, it's been shut down for weeks. Is the U.S. military playing a role in, fighting against the regime, blocking VPN networks and satellites and other things? Is there a role for the U.S. military there?
Obviously, on the allies and partners side, Israel from day one has been an incredible and capable partner, willing and able. There's nothing like capabilities and partners that are able to use them. The Gulf states have stepped up incredibly. In fact, Iran's sort of reckless attempt to strike civilian infrastructure and other things has brought countries who maybe would have not been as all in as they are today squarely into our orbit. And we're proud to be defending with them, standing with them, you name it. UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and others who have been right there. And we're grateful for that kind of support. As far as the internet, we're watching the regime try to tighten its grip as much as possible. And we're obviously taking countermeasures, many of which we can't talk about here, to ensure that messaging is delivered, not just to the Iranian people writ large, but to the right audiences, certain audiences that need to hear certain things about what their fate might look like or what their choices are. So even though that regime is trying really hard to ensure the world can't see, right? They want to put out fake AI-generated images, which, by the way, sometimes our press happens to fall for, like the Abraham Lincoln on fire and turning around. These AI-generated images are meant to make it look like something's happening when the exact opposite is. So they make up fake reports and fake images to lie to their own people to try to make it. But even then, their own people can barely receive a lot of those messages and communicate because of the blackout that they've imposed upon them. But we work around that for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. General, overnight, Iran launched missiles across the Gulf. They managed to hit the Saudi oil refinery on the Red Sea. What does it mean that they have that capability now, 3 weeks into the war? And, Mr. Secretary, you mentioned civilian infrastructure. Iran seems to be treating U.S. diplomatic outposts, embassies, consulates like they are legitimate hard targets in the region now. What is the Pentagon doing to, I guess, secure those assets, stop those attacks?
Absolutely.
Thanks for the question on the missile strikes. As we said and have always said, clearly they came into this fight with a lot of weapons. This is why we continue to be as aggressive and assertive as we can against their ballistic missile capability, both their medium-range ballistic missile capability and their short-range missile capabilities. So we are continuing to hunt and find them and kill them, and we will continue to do so. So they still retain some capability. And we have layered defenses throughout the region that will allow us to protect those. And we're working with our partners across the Gulf region to help them improve any defensive capabilities that they may need.
To that point on capabilities, Iran is an energy-rich country, could be, should be. Instead, like so many other places driven by a radical ideology, they've spent that money, instead of investing in their people, That's why you had millions of Iranians protesting. It's because they felt like their quality of life didn't match what it could be or should be. And what was the Iranian state? There's a reason we call Iran the number one state sponsor of terrorism, because they took the money they make and they invest it in tunnels, and they invested in missiles, and they invested in launchers and UAVs, and we are destroying and degrading that in historic proportions. But it doesn't mean they won't still have some and try to hold people at issue, which is why we're fighting every single day to continue to compel. And you mentioned embassies and consulates. Unlike previous administrations, we are doubling and tripling down on ensuring that our people, regardless of their Department of War, Department of State, whatever they do, are secure in those facilities. And the best defense is a good offense. And so we're not afraid to go after and kill anybody, and we have a lot of them attempting to target our diplomatic facilities. Iran, we're not surprised that they would indiscriminately target, and we're still seeing that. Jerry.
As part of the justification for the war against Iran, the White House has laid out in fairly comprehensive fashion the Iranian regime's 47 years of terrorism aimed at the U.S., including pointing to the IRGC's provision of weapons and EFPs to help kill Americans in Iraq. The Pentagon in 2019 assessed Iran was responsible for the deaths of at least 603 service members in Iraq, but there hasn't been a similar public accounting by Iran's role helping the Taliban in Afghanistan. And that also hasn't been part of the White House's public argument. I was wondering if you could speak to Iran's role in helping the Taliban during the war in Afghanistan. And Chairman, as you and the Secretary eloquently spoke about, 13 U.S. service members have been killed so far during Operation Epic Fury. I was wondering what lessons have been learned from those deaths, both from Iranian strikes, from an aircraft refueling accident. How are those lessons being applied to the current conflict, and how are those lessons going to be applied to a potential conflict in Indo-PACOM?
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. And it's true. In a town that can have a very short memory, President Trump does not. He remembers what this Iranian regime was founded on, what their declaration has been from the beginning: death to America, death to Israel. They've stated that. They've intended to, in every way, try to accomplish that, killing Americans in any theater they can, embassies for quite a long time. In Iraq, that was the deadliest weapon, was the EFP, the explosively formed penetrator. I was there when that tactic and technique started to emerge, and the realization was it wasn't just jihadis putting together 155 rounds daisy-chained. It was an entire state, a country with its apparatus able to mold steel in a way that was specifically designed to penetrate American armor and kill Americans. This was not, maybe we send them a couple of thoughts about how to build a bomb. This was Iran specifically passing technology and wherewithal and personnel into Iraq to kill Americans specifically. I know the number is said to be 600. A lot of us think it's higher than that, given the amount of capability they brought in. So they have been at war with us, whether we acknowledge it or not, for 47 years. The same goes in Afghanistan. Name the Islamist enemy, whether they are Sunni or Shia, because this is a Shia regime, Sunni or Shia, and Iran's been willing to harbor them as long as that group is willing to try to kill Americans. So the enemy of their enemy has been their friend as well in the Islamist world. So Iran, whether it's Iraq, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's around the world, has been targeting Americans. And what they wanted in this context, and what President Trump would not tolerate, is a regime of that nature being closer and closer to nuclear capabilities, a capability they would have said they would want to use, and we ought to believe what our enemies say they would do if they got the most dangerous weapon in the world. So it's been across every theater that Iran's been a threat to America, and sometimes we have to remind folks of that, but thank goodness we have a commander-in-chief who, on behalf of this country, has internalized that and said, hey, we're going to do something about it.
Jerry, I do want to talk about the lessons learned question because it's important to me. I won't share particular tactical lessons, and the KC-135 incident is under investigation. But I do want to talk about how I think about this and how we think about it. And this is something that I'm pretty passionate about. I believe the Joint Force has to be a very fast learning organization. early, often, and always. And so in each case, both at the strategic, operational, and tactical level, we've charged the joint force to look at themselves and say, what was our plan? Well, first, did we have a plan, yes or no? The answer is always yes, because we plan for literally everything. Did we execute our plan, yes or no? If we did it work? If not, why not? If we didn't execute our plan but did something better, what's the lesson learned associated with that? And then how do we quickly capture those lessons after every loss or every engagement and quickly adopt those lessons and then share them across the entirety of the joint force? And inside the joint staff, we've tasked our J7 directorate under the lead of Lieutenant General Lazewski, a United States Marine, to be extremely entrepreneurial in harvesting and capturing those lessons in a proactive and not reactive way. In fact, we've got teammates from the J7 who are now spread out across the CENTCOM theater, both here in the States and forward, to ensure that in every opportunity we do not miss a chance to grab that lesson and quickly accelerate it into the practice that we adopt inside the joint force, so that if there's a loss or if there's something that we can learn from, that we learn it not only in the CENTCOM AOR, but we adapt it across all of the combatant commands, not just Indo-PACOM. And it's across all of the warfighting functions. I've asked them to look rigorously, to check our egos at the door, to remember this is about what's right, not who's right, and to be clinical around the way we look at lessons learned, because we owe it to the force to do that. Thanks for that question.
Absolutely. Brown jacket in the back.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Jonathan Dre with Roca Politics. As you said, at the end of this war, Iran will be without a missile or drone capability, a navy, or the ability to make nuclear weapons. Since the largest threat and sponsor of terror in the region will be incapacitated, are there plans to move assets and troops out of the Middle East? I guess in a perfect world, a year after the war has ended, what does the military presence in the Middle East look like compared to before the war?
Well, I appreciate the question. I do think when you address a real threat head on, it creates new options on the other side, right? I think what President Trump refuses to do, which too often this town does, is just sit in the status quo. Oh, nobody can do about that. They've got too much capability. What if this happens? What if that happens? He instead says, what's in the interest of the American people? It's going to take some courage. It's going to take some capabilities. We're going to have to gather some forces there in order to do it. We're not going to tell people how many or how long or what we're willing to do or what we're not willing to do. But if you do that and do that decisively, then out the other end is a recognition that it opens the aperture of what's possible. I mean, President Trump did the same thing in creating an opportunity for the Abraham Accords. Now you've got a situation where a lot of those countries are coming alongside us, recognizing the threat of Iran. So I think our posture in the future will be based first and foremost on our own national security, power projection, the ability to defend our people and our interests. But no doubt, working alongside our partners, the president will look at what makes the most sense going forward. I appreciate that question. Yes, right here.
Crime. Is that the policy of the U.S. military
Excuse me,
now?
I didn't.
Thank you, Secretary Hegseth. Two questions for you. The Vice President has often emphasized that the goal of this war is to denuclearize Iran while also avoiding a larger quagmire. I know that you touched on this. I'd like you to expand on how do you do that? How do you denuclearize the country while also avoiding this, forever war? And then there was a report last night that the Pentagon asked the White House for $200 billion for Iran war supplemental. Can you confirm this, and can you explain why a package this large is necessary?
Well, first of all, none of this would have been possible without Midnight Hammer, without that audacious mission with very clear goals that did obliterate their ability to enrich and the capabilities they have in those facilities. So it created the conditions for Iran to step forward and say, okay, you can reach out and touch us like that in our nuclear ambitions. You can see that we're still trying to do this. Let's make a deal. And the President Trump put our two best folks on it, Steve and Jared, and they worked diligently, earnestly. I watched it to try to pursue that deal. And ultimately, I think the whole time Iran sort of said, well, we'll talk as we build more missiles and as we build more UAVs and we create this conventional umbrella so that if we chose to, we could try to reconstitute the program. And sort of naively thinking that President Trump wouldn't do something about it. And that's why, as Secretary Rubio has said, and I've said, it's the conventional umbrella that was growing and growing and growing that was meant to protect that nuclear capability. So you had to address both what happened with Midnight Hammer and what happened with that as well. As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. It takes money to kill bad guys. So we're going back to Congress and our folks there to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future, ensure that our ammunition everything's refilled, and not just refilled, but above and beyond. I mean, President Trump, as he said, rebuilt the military in his first term, didn't think he'd use it as dynamically in his second, but he had. So thank goodness he did that. And an investment like this is meant to say, hey, we'll replace anything that was spent. And now that we're reviving our defense industrial base and rebuilding the arsenal of freedom and cutting deals like our great deputy secretaries here is doing, long lead times on exquisite munitions, we're going to be refilled faster than anyone imagined. And I think, we're also still dealing with the environment that Joe Biden created, which was depleting those stockholds and not sending them to our own military, but to Ukraine, which is every time we reach back and look at any sort of a challenge we have, it goes back to, well, send it to Ukraine. Ultimately, we think this should be these munitions are better spent in our own interests at this point, and this kind of funding bill is going to ensure that we're properly funded going forward. We'll take one more right here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jordan Conradson with the Gateway Pundit. So with the strike yesterday on South Pars gas field, if the U.S. didn't know about it or didn't approve of it, it kind of seems like a trend of Israel apparently pursuing their own objectives over U.S. objectives. I'm not sure if you agree with that, but the president has said he doesn't want to hit Iran's oil infrastructure right now. As you said, the U.S. avoided this on Park Island. Oil's nearing $120. Why are we helping Israel prosecute this war if they're going to pursue their own objectives?
We hold the cards. We have objectives. Those objectives are clear. We have allies pursuing objectives as well. And the truth speaks for itself. I mean, President Trump was very clear about that. Iran has weaponized energy for decades. Israel clearly sent a warning, and POTUS has made it clear, very clear. Iran knows when you hit Karg Island and you hit military capabilities on Karg Island, which is the only thing we hit, we can hold anything at issue, anything. The United States military controls the fate of that country. Iran has the ability to make the right choices. It should not, going forward, target Arab allies, Arab countries, trying to create pain, the pain that they created themselves. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
And I was mentioning these points when I started. You got to finish the job. And yes, I'm so glad that, we don't want to do that. I am so glad that I don't watch the media, because I can't imagine how they're spinning this. And he's right. They are spinning it. They're creating that apprehensive fear narrative, forever wars. That's what they're going to push. They're going to push that. How long is this going to last? I can't imagine with some of these politicians. We need to end this now. What? They are, like I said when I first started, they are decapitating Iran in so many areas. Like I said last night, I was watching something that was unbelievable. And he was breaking it down on how they're using the B-1s, the B-2s, and the B-52s in tandem together. Hitting sites with the penetrating Moabs going in. And then another one with carpet bomb, the B-52s, would carpet bomb the area after they did that to bury it. How they're all working together to take out these sites. And it is a matter of time before Iran is completely crippled. But it's not going to just take 2 weeks. It's going to take time. But it's going to get there. And I've seen some of the videos. I haven't shown them, but there are videos out there that the CENTCOM declassified. And I'm going to tell you, it's incredible what the sheer force of what's going on. People don't see it, obviously. They don't see what's going on in Iran. There's a few videos that come out. But as he said, the internet blackout, it's very hard to get information coming out. They don't want the world to see what's going on. They're trying to spin it, like he said, with lies, with AI fake videos and everything else to try to spin it and say like somehow they're winning or they're succeeding in whatever they're doing. I could give you an example. And I don't know if they put anything out. I'm just going to show you. Wow. I'm trying to look with the other side. One of the other side's telegrams has been stopped. I'm just trying to read what this one's saying. So this one put out this. This is the kind of rhetoric coming from them. We warned the enemy that you made a major mistake by attacking the energy infrastructure of Iran. Iran had no intention of expanding the scope of the war to oil facilities. That's a lie, because they were hitting Saudi oil infrastructure like a week or so ago. That's a lie. And did not want to harm the economies of a friendly and neighboring countries. Really? However, after the U.S.-Israeli aggression on Iran's energy sector, Iran has effectively entered a new phase of the war and struck energy facilities linked to the United States and American shareholders. Really? In the UAE and Qatar and Saudi Arabia? Really? Your Arab neighbors? Really? The responses are underway and is not over yet. If terrorism against Iran is repeated again, the next attacks on your energy infrastructure and that of your allies will not stop until their complete destruction. Well, the Arab countries got wind of that. They had an emergency meeting. And it didn't go out well for the Iranians. They said if this doesn't stop immediately, they may take action to protect their sovereignty, to protect their territory, to protect their infrastructure. They are miscalculating this right now with this intimidation tactic. They are totally miscalculating. Big time. But this gives you an idea of what the other side says. And that's a media outlet for the other side. He brought up a lot of great points, I thought, when this started. And they're highlighting all the clips now from what we just heard on Telegram. I'm sure they're doing it on X as well. Think of, and I hate to use this as an analogy, but sometimes not really sometimes, I think it's important to be diagnosed and go for a regular checkup at the doctor to see if you can determine any kind of an illness you may have in its early stages. In other words, preemptively addressing those issues before they get to a point where it's out of control and it can cost more money down the line for that health care if you didn't do preventative health care to diagnose something in the early stages. I'm using that as an analogy because the same thing could be said with what's going on with Iran. This has been going on for decades. And he just gave you a rundown on how they have inflicted death, harm, and the willingness to do both against Americans. They send their proxies all over the world, their jihadists, to create violence, chaos, and death and destruction, including here. Look at South America, Venezuela. Venezuela had a lot of Iranian, Chinese, Russian influence. Where do you think you don't think those people are trying to infiltrate, and we know they're here, into our country and cause a threat here? How do we stop it? And they're always going to be out there. The extremist radical psychos are always going to be out there. But it all starts from Iran. It really does. They are the ones that fund it. They're the ones behind it all. They're the ones that create all this indoctrination. And it goes on for generation to generation to generation. Yeah, that's true. Mad million. People are scared to get a diagnosis. But it is preventative care. That's what I was using that. Because then it's too late. And we don't want this to become the same situation. This is a preventative measure that's long overdue to deal with a situation now than have to deal with the situation later when it becomes worse. And that's why I use that analogy. Because it's pretty much the same thing. It's preventative. And really, it should have happened much long time ago. Should never have reached this stage. Same thing could be said with North Korea. Same thing could be said. And what happened there? The Kim Jong fatty launches to get attention, ICBMs, all that. But I mean, obviously, they're not a proxy of terrorism. This number one state sponsor of terrorism in the world, like Iran is. And he's right. People have short memories. People don't. Maybe the people aren't alive to remember. They weren't born, or they don't remember what happened in Beirut, or the coal, or like he said, in Iraq or Afghanistan or anywhere else, embassies across the world. How many plots have been stopped here? I know of a few in New York City. How many of those plots that we don't know about? And who is it? It's these radical Islamic jihadist lunatics. So don't say it's not a threat to the United States. Thank God we haven't seen something like that. Thank God. But that doesn't mean the threat does not exist. And he made the focus to the American people. This is America first. This is protecting our interests. This isn't about democratic change, because a lot of people are saying we're doing it for Iran. And yes, it's going to obviously benefit the people of Iran to fight for themselves and take their country back. And also create stability in the region, hopefully, between Israel, Iran moving forward, and the other Arab states. In a perfect condition, a perfect situation, the region may become more prosperous, peaceful. But still, they are a threat. They are a threat. Hold on, I'll be right back. I hear something. I gotta check it. That's what I thought. Now, of course, this is not an easy situation. I thought it was awesome that the Joint Chiefs of Staff said and talked about the pilots, the maintenance crews, all those people that are involved. Those men and women of the armed forces deserve so much praise and gratitude for what they do for all of us. And of course, their families. And their friends and associates and whatever. They're the unsung heroes behind the scenes that we never see. And they're doing their job with respect, dignity, professionalism. I mean, can't say enough about the military. So hopefully, and I agree with him, how are you going to ask somebody about a timetable? It's done when it's done. It's done when it's done. Period. When the military, obviously, and you heard all the different groups involved and all the agencies involved, CENTCOM, Cybercom, whatever. When they have an assessment that they say, okay, we've achieved our objectives, our goals, only then, when they let the president know, Mr. President, we have achieved this, but have you achieved all of them? Well, we still have to work. Let me know when you're done. Until it's done, it won't be done. And he's right. All the money that, and a lot of people, I mean, what I say is I'm an independent, so I get in trouble with both sides. But we could spend all that money supplying Ukraine, send all that, but we can't build ordinances and supplies for ourselves in a direct engagement where we're involved in something, but you're willing to give it, but when we need it, for what we need it for, give me a break. That's a different story. It's not just giving it away. We need it for our forces. That's a no-brainer to me. It's not like we're giving it away. No, this is for what we need it for. Just think about World War II, how the industrial complex, it's amazing how men and women were building and building and building during the war to keep up. Different times than today. Everything's so critical of everything. And I don't know what the polls are because I don't care about polls. I wonder what, because this is what I was saying at the beginning. You see, when people like Secy, Steve from Agenda Free, those individuals that are doing their due diligence on streams and providing the information, because we weren't getting it from the mainstream. Before all this even started, you saw very little on mainstream media about what was going on in the Middle East. And I said this numerous times. When it happens, then they're going to complain. They're going to be talking all kinds of negative stuff because they didn't give the people in this country the background of what led to this. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Because they didn't provide the information of how it built up to this point. And to me, that's a disgrace. People are like, oh my gosh, we started a war with Iran. Well, do you know why? Do you know what the specifics are? What led up to this point? I mean, my gosh. You had one commander from Iran saying, well, we can now scramble and make a nuclear device in a week. And who collaborated that and corroborated that? Besant said that. He said it on TV where, I think it was Besant. And people were like, whoa. Oh, no, it was not. I think it was Witkoff. Steve Witkoff. It was one of them. I think it was Witkoff. Said, well, they can develop a weapon within a week. That got everybody like, whoa! Which I think he should never have said. And I think if he could take it back, he would have taken it back. So, what about dirty? What about a dirty bomb? What about the threat of trying to get something like that into our country? So that's not a threat to us? Like he said, debt to America since the beginning. We're the great Satan. And it is an ideology. It is an Islamic radical extremism ideology. And it is their Armageddon. Why do you think they do what they do? So we have to address this. And like I said, finally, someone got the spine to address this once and for all. It always seems like we push things off and just push it off to the next. We won't deal with it. We'll just deal with it down the line. How many times are you going to push something down the line? It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. Then it's out of control. So this is an opportunity. And we can't squander it by people saying, he needs to stop now. What do you mean stop now? That defeats everything. You can't just stop now. You gotta complete the mission now. I mean, they are degraded. They are decimated. They are decapitated. And yes, they're still gonna have missiles coming out. They still have, but a lot of it, the vast majority, has been taken out. We said this before it even started, because we've been doing this for a few months now, ever since the revolution, the revolting, the uprising by the people of Iran, who deserve their freedom. But it's going to be up to them to attain that. When the regime is weakened to a point where they can rise up and take it upon themselves to take their country back. It's just too much to see what this. I can't watch the media. I just can't. I refuse to even to tune it in. I don't want to. I can't even imagine what they're saying. I don't want to know, because they're partially responsible for this, for not giving the people the information, like I said, leading up to this point. And then all of a sudden, war broke out in Iran, in U.S., in the region. And I said it, and he said it. They spent billions and billions of dollars for decades developing their military capabilities. And the oil has a lot to do with the revenue to the IRGC. You're cutting off their money line too. And maybe that's what Israel was looking at. And I don't know, I'm confused still if this was a joint operation, or did Israel, it sounds like the United States is saying that Israel did this alone by hitting that gas field. But it's going to cripple the regime within. That I can't remember the number, but it supplies quite a bit for Iran, for energy. And that could pretty much put a big stake in what they're doing on the ground for fuel, energy, electricity. So and he also said that they're going to hit them. I don't know if it's like every day it's more intense. Today was going to be an intense operation, more intense than yesterday. And then the day before, it's like, it seems like they keep ramping it up. The operations that they're doing in Iran and shifting more to the east, because it's quite a distance to get to the east. And that's why it's multi-refueling going on. Because Iran is a big country. I mean, western Iran near the Iraqi border, but if you go past Tehran to get to Mashhad, eastern Iran, that's a long trip. And they're not stupid. They're going to put more assets in those areas, but they also have to consider the range to get to targets from that area. But the drones may not be so much of an issue, but short, medium, long-range missiles, more from the east, have to travel a longer distance. But they're not stupid, because they're going to still put their assets to the east, thinking it's going to be harder for us to get to, or the Israelis. So that's why he said, now we're moving further, deeper into Iran, more to the east, so they can get that part of it now. So it sounds like, to me, people say, oh, what do they even have a plan? The military has a plan. Of course they have a plan. Just because you don't know what the plan is doesn't mean they don't have a plan. What, are they supposed to tell you what the plan is? What the operations are? What they're doing? What they're taking out daily, hourly, by the minute? They're supposed to tell you? It's laughable. It's laughable. And maybe, they have to be careful with declassifying stuff. The public wants more information. That's always, part of it. But this is a military operation. They have to protect the people of the armed forces. They have to protect the equipment we use, the technology we use. You can only declassify certain things. But you can bet they are pummeling right now. And if we brought up a map, because I know they're going after Bandar Abbas, Bushehr, the coastal areas of the Persian Gulf, also by the Strait of Hormuz and on the other side, they are bombarding all along that coastline. And you heard them. They're using the Warthogs. They're using Apache helicopters. They're doing everything to decimate the coastal area, to weaken it. Because that's where a lot of their fast boats are and their missiles. And you've seen all those anti-ship missile videos that they put out with the mariachi music behind it. What do you think they're hitting? And I don't know if they're planning to actually do boots on the ground with the Marines and to take the shores, to take those coastal areas and secure them. That still doesn't prevent from inland missiles flying toward the Persian Gulf or drones, but they're hitting those targets too. They're taking them out. They can't. Remember before this all started, they were building like 300 drones a day, or a month. I don't forget what the number was. You think they're able to do that right now? A lot of these facilities are toast. And whatever they have, they're using, whatever is left, whatever launches they have left, the numbers are shrinking. They only have so much left. It's not even about what they have missiles left. I've said that 1,000 times. It's about launcher capability, the launching capability, period. And if you've seen some of these videos that I've shown in the past that you've seen on Secy doesn't show too much of that. But when you see all these explosions happening in a line near the mountains, or I showed a video once where there was a huge crater on a mountainside where they buried them. They're burying them. If I'm telling you, you got to watch a video. I'm going to grab it. I watched this last night. I highly suggest you watch this. It is so well done and informative. And I also want to play this a little bit. I got to take mom to the doctor soon. But you have to see this video. I would suggest you watch this. It'll give you an understanding on how the operations are taking out the tunnel systems of where the missiles are stored and causing chain reactions. And you'll see them on some of the videos. You'll see explosions, multiple explosions happening. Boom, 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 boom. A lot of it's coming out through the tunnels on the ends of them. It's causing a chain reaction on the ground and it's blowing it up. And they're trapping those that are inside. They built missile cities. They can sustain themselves. They built missile cities underground, including, this is northern Israel, by the way. But, for example, they would build it within the mountain, inside the mountain. They are burying them. I don't know about air ventilation, if they're hitting the ventilation sites. They're trapping them inside. If not taking them out completely with the bunker penetrating MOABs. I gotta see if, I hope I have this video because I was watching it on my TV. It is so well done. But it might be that I was watching it on my other, and I think it was, And it was so well done. Let me see if I can find it quick. It's not on this history. This video breaks it down. I might have to go on my TV, because to just try to find it, it's going to be impossible to get the link, unless I sign out of this account and go to my other account, which I could try that. It'd probably be easier, because I think the TV's logged into a different account. Okay. Let me go to my history here. I think it is. Yes, it was. Yes, I found it. I was logged in onto my other one. I'm going to play a little of this audio. Just listen to this. Listen to how he explains this stuff. Yes, Marianne, that's true.
What? Would be their armor. The tunnels would be their salvation. The underground cities, carved into rock at depths of 80 to 90 meters,
Listen
would
to this,
outlast
just a little
any
bit.
storm, any sanctions, any strike package that Washington or Tel Aviv could assemble. Iran's leadership didn't just believe this story. They built an entire military doctrine around it, spending billions of dollars, deploying hundreds of thousands of personnel, and constructing what analysts now estimate to be one of the most extensive underground military networks ever built by any nation outside of a major superpower. They called these installations missile cities. The name alone signals the scale of ambition. Not bunkers, not shelters, cities. Self-contained, hardened, operationally independent systems buried beneath the earth, designed to function even as everything above them burned. Now, according to reports emerging from multiple open-source intelligence analysts, commercial satellite imagery providers, and U.S. Central Command briefings,
Listen to this.
that doctrine has been systematically dismantled in less than a week. The very infrastructure that Iran spent 4 decades constructing as an impenetrable shield has, if current assessments hold, become something closer to a trap.
What did Pete Hegseth just say? They're hitting these infrastructures. He said what this guy said. This guy definitely, you need to watch this video. It's 24 minutes long. I'm going to put the link in chat. It is excellent. Well done. It is done by Brian Thompson News. And I don't want to play the whole thing but you guys should definitely check this video out. And how they're attacking with penetrating bombs these underground missile cities and taking them out and burying the tunnels so they're trapped inside. So not necessarily taking them out by blowing them up, but burying them. Burying them. And we've seen evidence of that on past videos. They're trapped. Who knows if they still have air? The ventilation systems. They're taking them out. And his number was unbelievable. I can't confirm the number he throws out there, but he's like hundreds of thousands are trapped underneath now of people. Whether they're military, engineers, scientists, they're buried underground with no way out. And they're watching, because we've got eyes in the sky, we got intelligence, there's all kinds of things. We're monitoring if there's any points of exit or entry to target, to bury. Not necessarily worrying about using the Moabs and ground penetrating bombs to blow them up from within, which has happened, but to trap them, bury them. They have nowhere to go. And that's what they're doing. So I would suggest you watch that video. It's very informative. Good morning, Alvaro. So let me switch back to my other account. I really suggest you guys watch that because he explains it so well. Well done. Well done. Very impressive. But let's go to this. This was yesterday, last night. And some of it's in English. Steve put this on, pieces of it. I'm going to skip a little. Because this is the whole conference. That's not him. The Saudi response.
تست واحد جوار أدى إلى تعاكل الثقة بها إقليميا.
Let me see when he talks
إن
English.
الاعتداء على الجيران.
I think he takes questions toward the end. Hold on.
To have experienced such blatant.
Hold on.
Of countries, and a country fires upon the city where that.
I'm going to go back.
That are not involved in this conflict. أشقائنا وكذلك يعني هناك تنسيق
The audio is terrible.
في كل ما يتعلق بالصمود في مواجهة هذه الاعتداء، لكن لا يمكن أن نقبل باستمرار الوضع كما هو.
Maybe I could find a better.
Excellency Taimur Azhari from.
Let me see if I can find a better, clearer. It's important what he says. That audio is terrible. That's just short. Come on. These are shorts. I don't want to see shorts. This is the one we're playing. That's a shame. Maybe we do the shorts. Let's just do a short.
Necessary.
You guys, you're not going
that's.
to believe what Iran did
Oh God.
after we attacked them.
Breaking. Can't do it. Let me try this one. The shorts are no good.
Any re-engagement with Iran, this conflict will end at some point. But I have to tell you, what little trust there was before has completely been shattered. Has been shattered on multiple levels. First, because Iran knows that most of the countries in the room today worked very hard to support diplomatic outcomes.
They did.
Also, because we were quite clear with Iran that we would not be combatants in any confrontation that came. Not only that, that we would not allow our facilities to be used to target Iran. That would be restricted to self-defense. So what I care about now is that the attacks on my country and on my neighboring countries that are not involved in this conflict end. That's all I'm interested in. And we're going to use every lever we have, political, economic, diplomatic, and elsewise, to get these attacks to stop. That's what I care about. The targeting of Riyadh while a number of diplomats are meeting, I cannot see as coincidental. And I think that's the clearest signal of how Iran feels about diplomacy. It doesn't believe in talking to its neighbors. It tries to pressure its neighbors. And what I can say categorically, that's not going to work. The kingdom is not going to succumb to pressure. And on the contrary, this pressure will...
So this is what he said last night, late last night. He came out with an urgent press conference, talking about Iran, and is not ruling out military action. And that's taking it a little out of context, but you get an idea of what he was talking about. And there's they held this conference, and while this conference is going on with the other Arab leaders, they attack. Iran attacks. That's why he said it's not a coincidence that they did that to intimidate them while they were all meeting together. So it's, and he, in another, I can't, the audio is really bad here, but he said they need to stop immediately attacking the Arab countries, or else Qatar got hit hard.
Reuters, frustration with the U.S. Over this war has been telegraphed, and I think there's a growing fury.
The audio is terrible,
for the attacks that are taking place. Is it better for Saudi Arabia and for the states impacted by this at the moment for this war to end swiftly and potentially face an uncertain situation, potentially face an emboldened Iran? Or do you in fact think that it might be better for Iran's capabilities to be further so that maybe this doesn't happen again in the same way?
So what I care about now is that the attacks on my neighboring countries that are not involved in this conflict end. That's all I'm interested in. And we're going to use every lever we have, political, economic, diplomatic, elsewise, to get these attacks to stop. That's what I care about.
Same thing that we just heard.
It's Keir Simmons from NBC News. Have you ever experienced in your diplomatic life an evening where you have organized a meeting of senior representatives of countries and a country fires upon the city where that meeting is taking place? And to the point, the question you were asked, just to ask again honestly, can Saudi Arabia now ever envisage an Iran that is able to threaten it with missiles and drones and is able to determine the oil price by effectively closing the Strait of Hormuz?
I've not had a long enough diplomatic career to have experienced such a blatant attempt at blackmail as firing missiles while a diplomatic gathering is taking place. And it was. To me, it was clear that the attack today was timed to coincide with this meeting in order to attempt, I don't know, to intimidate those present, to send home the message that Iran will not stop. All I can say is we were not intimidated. We were not in any way convinced that Iran can be a legitimate partner when it behaves this way. So the reality is any re-engagement with Iran, this conflict will end at some point. But I have to tell you, what little trust there was has completely been shattered.
No more trust.
Has been shattered on multiple levels. First, because Iran, most of the countries in the room today, worked very hard to support diplomatic outcomes. Also, because we were quite clear with Iran that we would not be combatants in any confrontation that came. Not that we would not allow our facilities to be used to target Iran. That would be restricted to self-defense. Within the second day, our civilian infrastructure was being targeted.
Yep,
as
their oil.
Mentioned earlier.
So they lied when they put that post out earlier.
Most importantly, when we hear from the Iranians, and they say, "Oh, it's not us. These drones from somewhere else. These drones maybe were controlled by someone else."
Who?
We hear that from the diplomats, but then we hear from the IRGC very clear statements that all of these targets are legitimate. That Iran has been building the strategy over the last decade and beyond. This is not something that is a reaction to an evolving circumstance where this has been built into their war planning, targeting their neighbor and using that to try and put pressure on the international community is something that every report we saw, and now we see translated into action, indicated was the case. And the level of accuracy of this targeting, you can see it in our neighbors as well as the kingdom, indicates that this is something that was premeditated, pre-planned, pre-organized. So all of these denials fall, I have to tell you, on deaf ears, and have caused whatever trust there may have been in the past to be broken. When this war eventually ends, in order for there to be any rebuilding of trust, and I have to tell you, if Iran doesn't stop, that is the mood also I heard in this room earlier, immediately, I think there will be almost nothing that can reestablish that.
Rohit Khatri from ITV.
So the Saudis have had it, so have the other Arab countries. They didn't want to get involved before. They tried to stay out of it. You're not going to use our airspace. You're not going to use our bases, blah, 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 blah. They remember all the diplomatic channels that the Arab countries were trying to use with the president to negotiate, diplomacy. That is true. That is true. Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they all did. They all said, please, Mr. President, try to come up with a diplomatic solution. Sit down with the Iranians. It was because of them that even happened, and then Iran stabs them in the back and attacks them. Not just the U.S. bases, but they attacked their infrastructure. Civilian infrastructure, their economy. They're going crazy. They're like, this is bullshit. You betrayed us. We tried to help you. We tried to help come up with a diplomatic solution. We told you they're not going to use our airspace to attack you, but yet you attack us. Not just the bases, you're attacking us. Our infrastructure, our lifeline, our money, our economy, our people. And they've had it. Look at what he said. They attacked while they were in a meeting with the other senior leaders of the other Arab states. And they attacked the city where it was happening to try to blackmail them, to try to put pressure on them, to try to intimidate them. It did not work. It's backfiring on Iran. They made a major miscalculation here, in my opinion. So, he said it. If it doesn't stop immediately, what does that mean? Are they going to take action? Because Saudi Arabia, obviously, it's Sunni Shia. The regime is actually enemies of Saudi Arabia. They are enemies. Saudi may want to become the principal player when all this is said and done. Forget about Turkey. Keep Turkey out of this. Saudi Arabia may want to become the most influential Arab states in the region. And if they decide to be proactive here and take action with the help of the other Arab states, maybe the UAE, because Saudi does have a military force. Obviously, they buy from us. They can definitely substantially change their role in the region and push Turkey to the side. Because Turkey wants to be the main influential player in the region as well. But you notice they're very quiet right now. But Saudi Arabia could definitely take a foothold here as their influence in the region by taking action. Now, will it be in coordination with the United States as the same type of mission? War with Iran? No. Will they have to be in communication with the United States if they decide to take action? Yes, because you can't have planes flying all over the place with no coordination of who's going where. But they may say, we're doing this to defend ourselves, to defend our sovereignty, to defend our rights, and do it as a separate goal entity to not tie them to the U.S.-Israeli campaign. See what I'm saying? They want to be separated. They don't want to be included, even though they're going to be pretty much working on the same page, doing the same thing, but they would have a different objective for different reasons. It's the Arab states defending themselves against Iran's threat and attacks. It's separate from what the United States is doing with Israel. They're looking at it for our own best interests for our countries. That's what separates it. And they're going to make that clear. This is not a joint operation with the United States and Israel. We're doing this for ourselves to defend our sovereignty. Watch. I think it's coming. I honestly think that's coming. They can't. If Iran is stupid enough now, if they're stupid enough, because we don't even know who's in charge. We don't even know who's giving the orders. It's in disarray. They've taken out so many of their commanders. We don't even know if there's some nut job that's telling people to do all this stuff. But if they're crazy enough to continue to attack the infrastructure, especially the oil infrastructure of these Arab states, Arab countries, well, let's see what happens. Because I think that would be playing a foolish card if they decide to strike them more. Because they're not going to take it. You heard them. We're not intimidated. They're not going to take it. That's why they had an urgent meeting last night. Then they have to do something. It's going to cost a lot, too, to rebuild that infrastructure. They know what's happening. So my question to all of you is here, that's watching and is in chat, do you think that Iran is going to be foolish enough to continue to attack the oil energy sector in these Arab countries? And if so, do you think, that's one question, do you think the Arab states will respond militarily at some point? I say yes. Iran, like I said, who knows what they're capable of doing? Are they going to continue to do it? I hope they don't, because if they do, they're going to draw the Arab countries into this. And they're really going to get pounded. Remember, they are enemies. Saudi Arabia and Iran are enemies. They are. You can look that up. It's more of a Sunni Shia thing, but they are enemies. The only thing that's kept them kind of together is, Israel. That's the one thing that there's some kind of a common ground is not recognizing the state of Israel to this day. But this is different now. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Kind of a deal. What's up, Witchmoon? What's this? Do you suppose if they do retaliate, they won't be as selective as we in Israel have been? That's a good question. What would they go after? That's a really good question, Marianne. That's a really good question. What would their target list be? Would they go after that? I hope they. I mean, look, if you're hitting my oil infrastructure, am I going to hit yours? Your energy sector? Is that a way to pay back? They're not going to target civilian populace. So what are they going to go after? It's a good question. I mean, look, and the president made a good point. Do we want to take out Iran's energy sector to the point where it's going to be hard for them to rebuild and to create revenue to rebuild by taking that out? He's trying to protect that to some extent. But if Iran pushes this, and they don't realize that we could hit them indiscriminately right now. We could take out whatever the hell we want. So can the Israelis. It's done. They're easy targets right now. Fly at will. They better be really careful on if they decide to continue to attack the Arab states and their infrastructure, because the Arab countries are fed up. They've had it. You've heard what I just played. They've had it. He said they need to stop immediately, and if they don't, there's going to be repercussions. And I'm telling you, this would unite the Arab states against Iran. They already had the urgent meeting. Can you imagine this, though? They're all meeting in Riyadh, and Iran decides to attack. And he's right. It was premeditated. It was planned. It's all part of it. And to hear it from his mouth directly makes it more substantial. Gives it credibility. It's coming from him late last night, when he made that statement. So we have to see what happens now, how this plays out. I'm going to see if there's anything. And good morning, Mark. Are those forces strong enough to make a difference? And put it this way. But then obviously they're not doing it unilaterally. You still have the United States and Israel involved. But they can't be tied to it. They're going to do it for their own self-interests as the sovereign protection of their countries. I don't know what their target list would look like, but are they just supposed to sit there and get pummeled by Iranian drones and missiles at their infrastructure? Are they just supposed to sit and idly by and do nothing? And continue to get hit through blackmail, intimidation? Like, I know I wouldn't. I'm taking action. And all they're doing is unifying the region along with the I can't say similarities, but with the campaign with Israel and the United States. They're pushing them away from Iran, is pushing them away and making them go more toward that than to protect and try to do diplomatic. They have absolutely miscalculated this move. And like I said, I don't know who's in charge of making these decisions in Iran, but it doesn't look like whoever's in charge knows what the hell they're doing now. They're just desperate and doing things just to do it, to inflict as much damage as they can before they're done. That's what it looks like. We might be at that stage, that Iran is at that very desperate point now that they're going to do anything they can to inflict as much harm and damage as they possibly can. And that's scary. We've always talked about that. When they get to that point, what are they capable of? Well, we might be at that point now, or soon to get to that point, where they're desperate measures. I mean, if you look at these pictures, and they're getting taken out like by the hour, by the minute. Oh my gosh, Ma, you have to get up. We have to go to the doctor. You have to get up now. We have to go soon. Oh, God. I don't know what she's saying, but too early for it. So these are the ones they've taken out. Oh, no. These are the ones that are still have to be taken out. That are on the list. Yeah, this is the one that's current. Iran International put this out. These are the ones still on the list. You see the top mouse, the new mouse is on the top. This guy is brutal. I was talking about him yesterday. The head of the police, that dude right there. This is the top of the list right now. But this is the ones that have been taken out already. So they are decapitating the regime. Forget about the commanders. The commanders, they're going left and right too. So, can we secure the border of the Strait of Hormuz via troops on the ground 10 miles off the coast? But that's what they're doing right now. They're softening that area up by hitting it with 5,000-pound bombs, bunker penetrating freaking bombs. to hit those missile silos underneath the ground, and all their capability, the fast boats. They're using Apaches, they're using Warthogs, they're using freaking bombers. They're softening it up. I think they may do that, Mark. They may bring in the Marines to take up the coastline. But that still does not take away the threat from inland, which they're working on. They're taking out the drone capability, the missile capability more inland. So there's multiple things going on at the same time. They just hit the Caspian Sea last night because the Russians are supplying them still. Well, they hit them last night. They didn't hit the Russians, but they hit those targets last night. Right here. They're going after them. Now in the Caspian. So the Russians can't supply them. So they're doing what they have to do. We're going to put an end to that. So there's a lot of things going on all at once. We're just not aware of all the things that are going on. There's a lot going on. Hegseth said this morning that it's going to be more intense today than it was yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. So they're going to get hit heavy again tonight, if not happening already. Or they'll probably wait for the nighttime. So it's fluid. It's constant. So the other side is playing the clips of the conference this morning. They're all sharing it now. Here is the oil, that facility that they hit, the Israelis. The gas field is still on fire. So that's the clip. So it's still burning. So we, like I said, we just gotta see how this plays out. And I can't imagine what they're saying on mainstream media. It's been going, we're in the third week now. We need to end this right away. Stop it. You don't stop it now when you've got them crippled. Stop it. You got to complete it now. The mission must be completed now. Forget about all that talk about stopping it right now. Then you just wasted all this time to get to this point, because they are crippled right now. There's just no doubt about that. Yeah, they still have capabilities, yes, but we're working on getting those, get rid of those too. Remember, before this all started, the concern was hundreds of missiles fired at one time toward Israel. Did that happen? No. Yes, there's been, unfortunately, tragic death, destruction in a lot of these countries, including Israel. But I don't think it's nothing what a lot of people assumed could be possible before this even started. Including myself. I was so worried about hundreds of missiles and who knows what was on those missiles hitting Israel all at once. That's why I really thought Iran was going to do a preemptive, use it or lose it. Well, they chose, we hit them first. And they lost a lot and have been losing a lot. And yes, the missiles are still flying. The drones are still flying. But does anybody really realistically think it was as it is now, what it could have been? I mean, the 12-day, I seen more activity, unfortunately, hitting Israel then than I do now. And now they're using the cluster munitions to try to inflict as much damage. And it's hard to intercept those. But realistically looking at this, it could have been much worse. And it's only been 2.5 weeks. And Iran is a very large country. And so much for their radar systems and their defense capabilities. Chinese, Russian, everybody's like, what are they giving them? I wonder what they're giving them. What kind of equipment? Well, again, fail. Oh, now the Russians are supplying them with advanced UAV technology for their drones. Whatever's left. You haven't seen too many drones in the air recently, have you? Yeah, there's still a few here and there. It's been more missiles now. You think they would launch it if they had it? Or if they could? They're getting pummeled. They're getting decimated. Whatever technology that they were providing sure doesn't look good now. Didn't look good in Venezuela. Didn't look good during the 12 days. Chinese, Russian, everybody was hyping that up. Where is it? Is it still there? Have they yet to use it yet? That's the assets that were provided. I don't know. But why wouldn't they have used it? Or what was it for? If it was for radar or for defense countermeasures, sure didn't work. The only thing I'm still concerned about is, like I keep saying, and I've been saying it since I found out about it, the Russian attack helicopters. We got to start hitting those because they're going to use those against their people. They're going to use it for the uprising. They're going to use attack helicopters on their own people. I fear that. I hope I'm wrong. I'm totally speculating. I hope I'm wrong. But I would not doubt it because they're capable of anything. So we have to keep an eye out for those Russian attack helicopters and take them out. Because God forbid what they're capable of using them for. So let's see what happens today. It seems like things are quiet. Now it's almost 10 here. So it's in the getting to the late afternoon in the region. Let's see what Iran does. Does Iran continue to launch missiles and drones toward the Arab countries? Or did they take that message clearly a threat? If they continue, there could be retaliation by the Arab states. By what the Saudi representative said last night, late. Were they listening? Will they listen, or will they continue to attack them? We'll find out in the next few hours or days. If Iran's going to continue to attack Qatar, or Saudi Arabia, or Bahrain, or whatever. We're going to find out. So far, it's quiet. Nothing's happened since he made that statement last night. And that was about 12 hours ago, almost. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. And yes, Mark, if you're still there, I do not want them to take and occupy Karg Island because that just leaves that vulnerable. They have no means of protection. Iran can put a few missiles there, even though that would be definitely big mistake. To have troops on Karg Island where they're unprotected and that they can be hit by missiles. Close range. It's right there. They say they took all the military assets off that island. I'm sure they're still monitoring to see if there's anything left. That's what they say. They got rid of all the military assets on that island. Okay. But it still leaves it unprotected. You got to get all the other stuff along the coastline and inland to protect anyone to be occupying in that island. On that island. You can't just leave them exposed. That's super high risk. For what? So the main thing here is the Strait. And he said they're taking out the fast boats with warthogs and, they're doing their thing. We'll see. Got to get that straight open, because that's the one that's holding everything right now economically. It's putting a lot of global pressure, international, here, everywhere. Got to get that straight up and running and having a flow in there, because that's Iran's plan, to create outrage, economic outrage. So we got to get that straight. That's definitely number one priority. Got to get that straight, open and running, fluid, and continue to isolate, target, and destroy any of their assets that they have remaining for missile and drone capability. That's where we're at. And yes, continue hunting from Mouse Jr. and anyone else there. Take out their echelon in the regime, and also what they're doing now, which is another video I got from this morning. They're hitting the Basij, and they're targeting them on the streets in Iran. Checkpoints. Tusi's been showing some of this stuff. And they're hitting them. These are the, I don't want to use bad language, but these are the ones on the streets that are terrorizing and slaughtering and the horrific. See, look. The Israelis released this. Yep. And this is what they're doing now. They're hitting the police, security forces, checkpoints. And Tusi was right. They hit that judge yesterday. They took him out. I don't know if this is the video. This is more, that's an Iranian helicopter that was taken out. So they're going to hit everything they can. Anything they see. They got to get these helicopters. Not necessarily that one, but the attack helicopters, anything. This is the video. Tusi was talking about this yesterday. This is the judge. They did take out the judge that was responsible for sentencing the people that during the uprising to death. That was the judge that sentenced people to be executed. Who's taken out. And Tusi talked about that yesterday. Accurate. It's been confirmed. That's why I'm showing it now, because it's been confirmed. So, it continues. They've got drones flying over. They're looking. They're getting intel from the ground from Iranian citizens themselves, letting them know locations. It's just a matter of time. And remember, a lot of these forces may be trapped underground in these military missile cities by the thousands. Like everybody's saying, Tusi's saying yesterday, where are the forces? Where are they? I don't see them. Are they hiding? Where are they? Well, guess what? A lot of them simply might be buried underground right now, trapped at these missile installations. A lot of them might be buried right now. I don't know if they have oxygen left, ventilations. Maybe they're hitting, because if you notice when they target it, these areas, they're using multiple capability with B1s, B2s, B-52s. I would not doubt they're targeting their ventilation systems as well. So, I don't know how much air they have underground. And I'm speculating, obviously, I don't know. But I just wonder how long they can survive underground trapped in these tunnel systems, in these missile cities, underground, in the mountains. This is northern Israel, by the way. This is not Iran. But if you've seen the videos in the past, and I'll say it again, of them using these huge bombs to hit these mountainsides, I'll never forget that one video. There was a huge crater on the side of a mountain. There's a huge crater, and it looked like they purposely blew it up to bury what was below it. Bury it. Ma, you got to get ready.
Oh my God, please leave me.
I'm live. That's enough said. Okay, see you later.
I got, I don't know where my leopard jackets went.
Check your closet, check your whatever. It's not here, obviously. All right, I'm live. See you in a bit. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they're doing. And a lot of them may be trapped underground. That's why we're not seeing them. Or any indication of information coming out of where they are. Where is the IRGC? Where are they? Where are the foot soldiers? The streets look like they're becoming empty. They're vacating, like Secy said yesterday. It looks like they're running away. Because they're getting hit by drones. Remember, they have no defense now. And we said this before it all started. They had the offensive capability with their missiles and drones. That was their main deterrent. They had no defense. Forget about their Air Force. They had no defense. And then we heard, oh, but the Chinese and Russians might be supplying them with radar systems and countermeasures and all this. Well, if they did, fail. The Israelis have drones flying over and taking out targets, pinpointing precise targets. They're taking people out. They got drones flying over and aircraft. So now we're going after the security forces that were responsible for the slaughter of all those innocent people that came out in Iran. Now it's time to take them out. We still got to continue on the missiles and drones part, but now, and of course the Strait of Hormuz, number one. To me, that's got to be priority up there, number one. But we're also going to target these I don't even dignify it by individuals that were slaughtering and being so cruel, and still are to this day on the streets in Iran. It's their turn. And if Pete Hegseth said something very interesting today about the internet. He said it's not just about the Iranian people being able to communicate, but we need to send a message to those that are listening too, that to give them a message that either you give up or you're dead. Pretty much that's what he said. So now it's time to target them. I would not be surprised that police chief goes soon. He's got to go. He's got to go. And that's another thing, Marianne. The military is amazing. We're not seeing what they're doing, but you can bet they are doing an exceptional mission and accomplishing many goals every day, every minute, every hour. It's just that the media they don't have access to that information, obviously. And there's not enough information coming out of Iran, obviously. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. It's like, stop it. Stop it. You don't even know what's going on. Stop it. If you only realize from the people on the ground, excuse me, people are celebrating. A lot of them. Yeah, there's regime people that are crying like Secy showed. That was unbelievable. Oh my God, that individual who's they're all crying, and I'm like, Jesus, look at these absolute fanatical Kool-Aid psychos, and they've been manipulated all their lives, obviously. And even it's crazy because you see they indoctrinate them at such a young age. You've seen younger people there too. I was like, oh my God. So there's still a support for the regime there, obviously. It's not like the whole country. There's still a portion that supports the regime because they're connected. They have IRGC family members or whatever it is. They have direct connections to the regime. and they're supportive of the regime. But the vast majority of the people want change. It's like anywhere else. It's the law of averages, numbers. There's always going to be some on this side, some on this side, some in the middle. You know, there's always going to be. Goes without saying. But the vast number, disproportionate number of people want change in that country. Regardless of what they might say. Because they're in denial. They know they're in trouble. And now you'll see them come up with even more desperate measures to put stuff out there because they're really desperate now. They'll cling on anything right now just to put their narrative out there. They're lies. They're misinformation. They're Alexa, stop. They're AI videos, whatever it is. You got to be very careful with false information. Because it's just going to get worse from this point on. It's always been bad, but it's going to get worse and worse because they know they're desperate. And they're going to try to grasp at any media attention they can get. Alexa, stop. They are desperate right now, and we can't let up. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that because we're feeling it here at home. Think about the long-term consequences right now. Short-term. Yes. Long-term. We cannot let up right now. We have to finish the job. Let our military do its role. And thank God to all of them doing that for all of us. Because yes, it is about our own national security and protection here at home. My gosh. What's up, Kev? Colin was way ahead of his time. That man was brilliant. He was way ahead of his time. Way ahead. So, like this Memorial Day may be solemn, especially to the more recent. It's not just a holiday that people get a day off. We need to remember those who sacrificed. Not just them, but their families also sacrificed. For all of us. And how I'm able to sit here freely, speak freely, and do what I do or what other people do. Regardless if you agree or disagree, that's what it's all about. Democracy. The freedoms that some people abuse. Obviously. But my gosh. Take the time to remember those that did so much for all of us. And I will, there's no doubt. I was going to light a candle, but I don't know where I put my candle. So I'm going to have to go out to the store when I take Mom to the doctor and get some more candles. Because I always keep a candle lit in a religious way. For protection for everyone. But I pray for safety, peace. Mom got me started with that. So let's pray. Let's pray for all the servicemen and women, for all the people, innocent people, and for peace. That's the way I look at it. And like I said, we knew this was going to happen, and we've said it many times. The media didn't really talk about any of this. They would give it a minute or two or three leading up to the actual confrontation beginning of it. They gave it very little coverage, and now that's all I guess they're talking about now. But they didn't give the American people here enough background on what led up to this. And now they'll spin it, and he's right. Can I eat something? No, you cannot eat. You're getting blood work. But thank gosh for people like, and I'll say it again, who inspired me. Secy, Goldie at that point, and Steve is Steve, agenda free. Steve is always on news topics of all sorts. It's individuals like that that put the information out, that gave information to the public that they were not normally going to get anywhere else. And that is true. Whether you agree with their tactics or whatever, that's up to the individual. Because, you know, I hear people saying, oh, clickbait this, clickbait. Let me tell you, he's been so ahead of it. And, like, I'm very careful to show videos unless... Because I do it, but I like to have confirmation and confirm and vet things before I show it. But when he was showing stuff, I said, oh my gosh, maybe I should have shown it. But I wasn't sure if it was valid. But when Secy showed that, talked about the judge being taken out and the video, I said, I seen the video, but I wasn't sure I wanted to play it. Or the building collapsing in Lebanon. I had the video because Lorenzo shared it yesterday in chat. And Lorenzo said it's been vetted. It's credible. But I still wasn't sure. So I didn't play it. But Secy did. And he's been on it. He's been ahead of the curve the whole time. The whole time. So when people are so rushed to say his clickbait, this, that, well, go back and look at some of these shows and see what he was talking about. And then looking back in retrospect. Oh, yes, Armin. I like Armin a lot. I do. I haven't seen Goldie in a while because I've been busy and I focus on Secy and focus what I'm doing. I haven't actually watched Goldie in like a week or so. But Armin is a character. He is. He looks like he'd be really a fun dude to hang out with in person because he's got a sense of humor. You know what I mean? You could tell he's like a dude that you chill out with and have fun hanging out with. You could tell. You could tell that he's that kind of person. He's chill. I can't get over how many times he's made me laugh because he uses the language and, he can't help himself. Sometimes he starts laughing. Like, I'll never forget when an Iranian went to protest at an embassy. I forget where it was. I think it was in, I don't want to say Norway. I don't remember where it was. And the guy was going, and he's just laughing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Because the guy is going crazy inside. I don't know if it was Denmark, Norway, somewhere like that. And I was watching. And the mariachi videos and all that. Oh my gosh. Too funny. Too funny. Hi, Navy Mom. Gotta go to doctor visit. Have a great day. Hopefully everything works out with the doctor. My love to you and the family. I gotta take Mom to the doctor soon myself. Checkup time. I gotta go to the post office. I gotta get my medication. I've got to do a few errands myself today. I gotta leave at noon. It all depends on this one getting dressed. Oh my gosh. So I gotta get up in a few minutes just to, not yet, check on her that she's getting dressed. Because she has to go to the doctor. Can't miss this doctor's appointment. So, again, I give tribute to all those people who were putting out the information to the public. He is, Kevin, he is. He's a character. A Canadian Persian character. And I did, by the way, too bad he's not here, Sean, yesterday. And they liked it. I'm going to eat more of it today. I did make that Persian dish. I forgot the name of it. What's the name of it? I have it bookmarked. And it came out good. Let me see the bookmarks because I had the Dizzy? This. Well, I made it yesterday. My way. Because I'm a cook. A cook improvises on recipes too. You know what I'm saying? So, I took the ingredients. I did the recipe the way. I don't eat anything with a bone or fat. Never. Ever. So I used ground lamb and I sauteed it and browned it But I didn't break it up. I left it in chunks, but cooked it well. I made it more chunky instead of like grounded and completely broken up like you would have taco meat. But everything else, I pretty much stuck to the plan. And this is what it looks like. It came out so good. I put a little bit extra lemon juice and a little extra of the turmeric to give it a little of that flavor. It came out great. Not a lot of salt, garlic I did. But it tastes so good. It was so good. Now I need to eat it for real in Iran one day. That would be nice. But let me see my live, because I went live for like a minute yesterday. Here it is. This was yesterday. Somebody told me about it today, and I just finished making it. So it's got the minced lamb, onions, peppers, potatoes, chickpeas, white beans, all the ingredients that he told me to do. And it's a stew. I can't remember the name of the dish. Dizzy. But this is it. So right there, I made that yesterday with white rice. That came out so good. And it's a lamb stew. Think of it like a lamb stew with chickpeas, white beans, onions, green pepper, potatoes, and then the seasonings, garlic, and all that stuff. And I did it to pretty much the recipe. Oh my gosh, did it come out good? It came out, and that's all Sean. He's not here right now, too bad. But he gave me this idea to make this yesterday, and it came out so good. I can't wait to eat more of it today for lunch. Because there's definitely leftovers. I made a lot of it. But that was getting a little taste of the Iranian tradition. Because he said, you got to try this. And maybe one day I'll eat the real deal, God willing, in a free Iran. That would be lovely. You know? So, again, this is northern Israel. I do have Beirut cams also. Let's get rid of that. Uh-oh. Uh-huh.
You haven't seen my leopard jacket?
I have not seen you. Ask me. No, I haven't. Just pick another jacket for today. The red blazer with a jacket. You know. You have so many beautiful coats. You don't need the leopard. Find something else.
But there's two of them that are missing.
All right, but you'll find them later. Right now, just worry about getting dressed for today. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Just get dressed. Don't worry about it. Like I said, we'll find it later.
Yeah. But you're gonna have to need a flashlight or...
Yeah, I'll find it. Believe me, I'll find it.
You're not gonna find it, because I've been looking for...
All right, but I'll all right, so...
My classic...
Okay, I'll look again, though. I'll try to look again anyway, for my own sake. I'll try to find it. Anyway, get dressed,
Oh my God, please.
I know. No,
I'm gonna tell the doctor, he rushed me so much. What can I do about this? I'm gonna tell the doctor. You rush me too much. It's like if I'm supposed to... I'm not a man, okay? Coño. I'm a woman.
All right.
You guys could pull
I gotta go to the post office, pharmacy, etc. too. Just saying. See you later. Go ahead, get ready.
Oh my God.
Anyway, it does look yummy, doesn't it? And like I said, that was a recipe that and he sent me an email, Sean, to give me like more specific details on the preparation of it. So that was helpful. Looks like it's raining. Did I see? What did I just see on the screen? Last night there was a thunderstorm. I was watching Steve and there was lightning going on. Because, when I'm trying to relax too, they're a source of information just like anything else. When I watch Tuesday, I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. Or if I watch Steve, wow, he just brought up something really interesting. I'm learning. I'm learning from them. Information is, knowledge is power. Information is important. Credible information is important. Looks like it's like something's falling, like raindrops or... Uh-oh, IDF footage. Wait, we got more stuff coming in. Attaches a related graphic.
Have I seen the doctor before?
You're not seeing the doctor today. You're getting blood work today.
Did I see the girl before anybody?
Northern Iran. This is in the Caspian Sea. Excuse me, ma'am. This is in the Caspian Sea. Northern Iran. It's part of what SETCOM released earlier, but this is the Israelis releasing this. Wow. Well, whatever that was is completely engulfed in flame. Looks like some kind of a cruiser. I don't want to say destroyer, but whatever it was, wow, is no longer. And remember, the Russians have been supplying them still in the Caspian Sea, and this is why they're taking them out. Not the Russians, but they're taking out Iran's infrastructure up to the north. Which is why they'll hit their port as well. It's not just the ships, the port too, of entry. They'll take that out. But this is what the IDF just released. Strikes on Iranian naval missile ships in northern Iran. And I'm sure they're pounding. This is what the Israelis released. The United States released that other clip earlier today. Or last night. But I seen it earlier today. So this is what's going on. They're hitting them now in the Caspian. And that's good because it's going to prevent the Russians from resupply. Because they have been. Reports are that they have been. Attaches a related graphic. The Iranian Navy port, see, the port was struck. Details of it was a frigate. It was a frigate. And right along the Caspian, see? To the north. Right along the Caspian. And that's where the Russians were bringing in, because Russia's to the north, and they were resupplying. So it's very important to take that out so they can't get resupplied. Nowhere for the Russian ships to go to port now. This is probably completely decimated. It's probably gone by now, if I had to guess. Because it wasn't just Israeli, it was United States as well hitting those targets. Wow. Wow. A Russian reporter came dangerously close to being injured after approaching a Hezbollah position moments before an Israeli strike hit just meters away. Oh my God. Israel News.
The border, including the Al-Marj outpost opposite Merkaba, and carried out drone strikes on the Al-Raheb site near Aitar al-Shab. Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted.
Whoa! Oh my gosh! I hope he's all right. Oh my God. That was loud.
The border, including the
I gotta lower that.
outpost opposite Merkaba, and carried out drone strikes on the Al-Raheb site near Aitar al-Shab. Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and admitted.
You can hear it. He hears it. Wow, that is crazy. So close. Oh my gosh, that was so close. My God. See, now the other side is bragging about it. Look at this, how they're bragging about it. This is that gas infrastructure, oil, whatever it is, in Qatar. Qatar Energy CEO says that the Iranian attack overnight damaged 17% of its LNG production capacity, and it would take 3 to 5 years to repair the damage via Reuters. And they're saying this proudly. The Iranians are saying this proudly on their media outlet. You don't think they're upset? The Qataris are not upset? Wow. They lost 20 billion. This is Reuters. Causing an estimated 20 billion in lost annual revenue and threatening supplies to Europe and Asia.
That's okay?
So look what Iran is doing. Heck yeah, that's okay. That's a beautiful coat. Everybody loves that, compliments that coat.
Who sold this coat?
You know how many people have said when you go into the doctor with that coat? So look at what they just cost the Qataris. Why is Iran hitting their infrastructure? Does that have anything to do with what we're doing or Israel's doing? Why would they target them? So they're not happy. This is why they had that emergency meeting last night. And they said if any attacks continue, they may have to take action. No good. Now that's what Reuters is reporting. 20 billion loss in annual revenue, and a lot of it goes to Europe and Asia. And they hit it. That's bad. But that just goes to show you their state of mind. They're attacking the Arab states. I mean, how much do you think these people can take? They're affecting their economies, their people, their livelihood. But this has nothing to do with us. We didn't even allow them to use our airspace to attack you. And you're attacking our infrastructure? You're not just attacking U.S. bases that were located here with no one there, but you're attacking us now. Why? Why are you attacking our infrastructure? Because Israel hit your gas field? What does that have to do with us? So it's going to backfire on Iran. They are miscalculating this. This is bad for Iran. Because you think they're going to forget about this? You think the Qataris or the Saudis or anybody else is going to forget about what they're doing to them and harming them? They're causing more harm. It's totally going to backfire on them. This is not a smart, whoever's in charge is not thinking clearly. Because that is absolutely foolish. That is a serious miscalculation to attack your Arab. These same countries that tried to come up with a diplomatic solution by approaching the president to approach this diplomatically and push it. And now you stab them literally and do this to them. That's why Iran can't be trusted, period, across the board. Whether it's us, them, anywhere, they can't be trusted because this is what they're capable of doing. That's what it is. LP, I think it is liquid propane. Yes. Marianne, yes. So this is, it was rain because you can see the clouds now. I'm going to go back to the other camera in northern Israel, where it's more sunny. The sun, it's getting dark soon. But you could see this is a regime that threatens the whole region, let alone the whole world. Look what they're capable of doing. I don't see any justification attacking these Arab states and hitting their oil infrastructure only for them to suffer and pay the consequences. For whatever reason, they're putting blame on them. Whatever it is, to put pressure on them, to blackmail them, to intimidate them, to try to pressure the United States to stop. I don't know what their thinking is here, but whatever it is, it's a miscalculation. Major. And I'll tell you right now, I think privately, these Arab states are probably communicating with us. I'm speculating. Finish the job. Take them out now. Do it. Privately, I would not doubt they're saying that. Take them out. before they can do more harm to us. Take them out now. You would think, right? Privately, in back channels, take them out. Destroy them. I would think so. Makes common sense to me. And that's the place that they're loving it. This is the media outlet for the other side on Telegram. They're loving it. They're loving it. It's craziness. Horrible. Horrible. And just think, what's today's date? Aren't they going to celebrate the Persian New Year now? I hope they get to celebrate. And they were told to evacuate that area, yet the Russian RT decided to leave their press person there to cover it, and that's what happened. They were told to not be in that area. Well, that reporter was there, what you just seen on the screen with it hitting very close to him as he's reporting. They were told not to be there, but yet they were.
Have you seen my boots?
Well,
With the butterfly on the side.
I have not.
You see, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I put everything and everything is moved.
I'll just get dressed and I'll look for your boots when you're almost ready. I'm gonna get off in a few minutes.
I'm almost ready. But I want my boots.
I will find your boots, Mom. I will find them.
Yeah, I don't know how because
I will hunt for them.
if I can't find it, how
But even though you can't find them, that doesn't mean I can't find them. Is Tusi going live anytime soon? Because this way I could just sit back and see what Tusi has to talk about today. Let me check.
I like that name.
Mayar. I can never say his name. It's a New York thing, I think. Can't pronounce it properly. Okay, nothing upcoming yet. He will be on soon. Last stream was 13 hours ago, last night, which I did watch. So keep an eye if Iran decides to attack its neighbors again. I don't know. I don't know if they're that stupid after they've been warned last night. I don't know. But you never know what they're capable of doing. You just don't. And we'll definitely get, as of what the Secretary of War said today, today's going to be another intense night campaign in Iran. He says it's going to be more intense than yesterday. That's what he said this morning. So more and more is happening by the minute, by the hour, by the day, degrading. And I'm sure we'll hear more information coming out today. So it didn't do more damage. We used to have UNG tankers come into Boston. It was like clear the decks. Now they have a different way of transporting it, cold method. You're talking about the propane. Well, again, I don't know where the Tripoli is now. I don't know if the Ford is back at Crete by now, getting repairs, maintenance done. I'm gonna have to maybe look into that during the day. But they've got to do something in the Strait. And they've got to do something about eliminating more threats of these missiles and drones. That is a priority. And they've got a lot at their disposal to use different types of mission sets throughout the whole country of Iran, but JC says, yeah, okay, so eradicating radical Islam, you got to remember, this is a global thing. It's not just an Iranian thing. This is global. But you have to start somewhere. And this is the main head. And it's like an octopus, tentacles. You know what I mean? You start from the head and then you work on the tentacles where they spread throughout the world, because they are. Africa is a big problem. The continent of Africa is a big problem. And still throughout the Middle East, you're going to have it exist. It's not going away. There's always going to be an element there. But this puts a major dent into it. Major. Proxies, influence. Major. So, but it's always going to be out there. The elements always. Why do you think the UK deals with things the way they do, and France and some of these other countries? Because they know the element exists within their own countries. They know it. It's here too. The United States is more. They're aware. They know the sleeper cells. They've made statements on it. So it's not like it's going to all disappear overnight or in a month or 6 months. Oh no. This is something that's going to be dealt with for years and years and years. It's an ideology. It's a radicalization. It's an extremist jihadist movement. And you're going to have that. But, you know, you lessen the threat by eliminating the head. But then it also creates a martyrdom situation where now they're going to retaliate in the name of. And that's what you got to watch for years to come. And even if the government changes and regime change occurs in Iran, I've said this many times, it's going to take years to stabilize Iran because they're going to be constantly under threat from the outside or even internally for those who remain that are radicalized. It's not going to be like throwing flowers up in the air and everything's all fine all of a sudden. No, it's going to take years. Years. So this is just the beginning. I will probably be long gone and it'll still be going on. In some fashion, some way. You know, JC? So it's not, you just can't erase it or eradicate it. You can minimize it. But that is, you got to remember, there are people that are easily influenced, manipulated. Look at how ISIS or ISIL, how many people they got to follow them through social media alone. Recruitment. Crazy. Think of that. So there's always people out there, anywhere, that could be manipulated, coerced, whatever, bribed, corrupted, blackmailed, whatever it is. That exists. And that's scary. But it exists, and we all have to be aware of that. And, you know, Easter is coming, other holidays. We have to be mindful of our surroundings. I always say this, and it's like a public service announcement. If you see something, say something. You can talk to your local law enforcement. There's always someone that you can communicate with. You can go on FBI.gov, look for the FBI number, the tip line, anything. Even call 911. If you see something, you call the police. You report anything suspicious. You can save lives. It's not being paranoid. I mean, you have to be pretty sure what, you know. You're not just going to do it on a flim. You're just going to. But if you do see something suspicious, call. Be proactive. Because we have to all be paying attention to our surroundings. No matter where we are, what we're doing, pay attention. I know I do. I'm always looking around. I'm always observing. I'm always checking everything out too. But still, even then, that doesn't mean you're going to see everything that's going around. But you try to pay as much attention to your surroundings as possible. When I go to places that have large gatherings, I'm always looking around. Any suspicious activity. Like, you know, it happened to me on the train in New York City once. It was the last stop. But I was on the train going to, I had to get off at the last stop. It happened to be that's where I got off. And for like the last few stops, there was a book bag. Just book bag. By itself. Could have been a student left it there or somebody left it there. There was a book bag all by itself. And I'm sitting in that car and I was obsessed with this book bag. I kept looking at it thinking, oh my God, could I be in the wrong place at the wrong time? As soon as I got off, I went downstairs because it was an elevated L train. That's what they call it, L. And I told somebody, and they followed me because it was the last stop, so the train was parked. And I showed them where it was. I said, it's right in there. It's right there. I'm not going in, but it's right there. Somebody left it there, and I don't know what it is. And they said, thank you, sir, and I went on my way. I don't know whatever came of it, but I reported it. That was suspicious. Not that I knew that there was anything there that was maybe, it could have been an innocent bag full of stuff. Books or whatever. But I don't know that. I'm not going near it. I'm not opening it. Could be booby-trapped for all I know. I'm not tampering with something that I have no idea what the hell that is. I'll get the people involved. Law enforcement. And I did. And that's what everybody needs to do. If you see something suspicious, call the police. Be proactive. You could be saving people. It may be nothing, but it could be something. And you might help save other people's lives, including your own. So, think about that. In these times, what's going on? And if you're even any church, doesn't just have to be a synagogue, because they'll attack our way of belief as well, our system of belief. Anything, you have to be careful. Right? Where people congregate, period, really. But, you know, I'm sure they have all the synagogues on high alert with protection. I would think New York City's doing it for sure. We have a population down to our south that it's Orthodox, and there's a lot of Jewish population. I'm sure they have a lot of security there. But it just doesn't have to be that, you know? It could be anything, where people like large gatherings, because they would want to inflict as much harm as possible, these psychos. So just be careful out there. That's all I'll say. Be careful. And there's nothing wrong with calling 911 if you think something is suspicious. It's better to be safe than sorry. That's what I would say. Anyway, I'm going to get off and help Mom. Got to take her to the doctor. Keep an eye out for Secy and everybody else, Steve, Agenda Free, Goldie, and Armin. I don't know if they're live yet. They're always, it seems like they're always live. They start early, they go all day. I'm going to check before I get off. So see, there are other people putting it out. IDF hits Iran in Caspian Sea. Hormuz showdown nears Qatar gas hit. That's somebody just streamed that. They're actually live right now. TBN Israel. Why am I looking her up this way? She's on my column. See, Steve won't go on till later because he goes through the night. Goldie is not live yet. See, she went on for 7.5 hours yesterday. The day before, 9 hours, 9 hours. She always goes like at least 7 hours average. She averages actually 8.5. If I was to put an average just by looking at the streams, she goes like an average of 8.5 hours every time she streams. Goldie. Uh-oh, wait. We have more Telegram stuff coming in before I leave. Okay, there seems to be a new IDF alert about incoming missiles toward Israel. So something's going on now. That just came out right now. That noise you heard, that's what that was. I want to see what this video is. Okay, that's the video I showed. And that's the American. Actually, this is different. Let me see. Again, this is the Caspian Sea. Strike on command centers. And then there's the one we just seen a few minutes ago. The frigate in the Caspian. And that's just the Israeli footage. The Americans released theirs as well. CENTCOM. They declassified it. So, a joint operation in the Caspian. And the American clip is this one, I believe. Yes. Oh, that boat was like hidden in the trees. That is wild. All right, let's see what else before I go. What is this? Wow. Wow. Allegedly, this is what an Israeli report is saying. Documentation published by the Iranian opposition. Basij members are hiding under a bridge in Tehran, fearing they will be hit. One of them is seen waving a white flag. What? They don't want to get hit. Wow. See, they're scared. They're scared. They're hiding under a bridge and waving a white flag. This is where we got them right now. And you want to give up? The problem is we're not getting enough information out of Iran that the public is not aware of how this is going. That's why it's important to look at alternative media sources to get your information, like Tusi, Goldie, Steve, Agenda Free, etc. Very important, because you're not going to see this on mainstream. You're not. Uh-oh. Abu Dhabi, they just put this out the other side. Abu Dhabi explosions, ballistic missiles attack. They're hitting Abu Dhabi. They're pushing it. They are pushing it. Abu Dhabi's getting hit by ballistic missiles. They were warned. Ain't that? And they're proudly the media outlet for the other side is proudly putting this out. Abu Dhabi explosions, ballistic missile attack. Now, what are they attacking? It doesn't say. But they say there's explosions in Abu Dhabi, ballistic missile attack. I'm sure Tusi will address this later on this afternoon whenever he goes live. So keep an eye out for that later. They're still doing it. They were warned last night by the Arab nations not to do it, to stop immediately, and they're doing it still. Again, I don't know what they're targeting. If it's the infrastructure, it doesn't say, but they just put that out there. I'm telling you. But I'll be back later this afternoon. So God bless everyone. Prayers to everyone. Love to everyone. Peace. And go keep an eye out on Secy TV. Agenda Free TV with Steve Lookner. Goldie and Armin, if you don't know about their channel. Of course, many of you already know who they are because you've been paying attention like I have. Of course, there's Secy TV. And then you've got Agenda Free with Steve. And he goes on for hours too. Look at this. Last night, 8.5 hours. He's another one he's just, I mean, really. He goes all out. And of course, Goldie Gamari. Right here. Her and Armin. So there you go. Well, if she's going on at noon, she'll be going on soon. In about an hour or so. So there's Goldie. And Armin. Let's not forget about Armin. And I can't show you any of their videos because I'll get in trouble. But those are the three I specific. And there's so many other, like I said, you guys don't understand that video link I put in earlier is really an excellent watch. This guy breaks it down. I mean, with the tunnel systems, the missile cities, he breaks it.
Unable to fire, unable to receive orders, unable to evacuate, unable, in some cases, even to breathe freely if ventilation systems have been damaged or severed. This is not the war Iran prepared for. This is the war Iran's doctrine was specifically designed to prevent. And understanding how one of the most carefully constructed military strategies of the late 20th and early 21st century appears to have unraveled so completely and so rapidly requires going back to the beginning, not to the strikes themselves.
I'm going to put this link in both chats.
Underground cities feel for so long.
You should
like
watch
an
this.
Unassailable answer to a strategic problem that Iran could never solve any other way. Iran has never been able to compete with the United States or Israel in the air. Its air force has been starved of spare parts by decades of sanctions. Its pilots train on aging platforms. Its fighter jets are a patchwork of pre-revolutionary American aircraft and domestically modified systems that, while not negligible, cannot realistically contest air superiority against the combined strike capacity of the U.S. and Israeli air forces for any sustained period. Tehran knew this. They were not delusional about it. What they concluded, however, was that this vulnerability could be circumvented. If you could not fight in the air, you could hide beneath it. If you could not stop incoming aircraft, you could bury your most valuable assets so deep that no aircraft could reliably reach them. And then, at a moment of your choosing, you could emerge, fire, and disappear again before the counterattack arrived. The strategy was elegant in concept. It was also, as it turns out, built on a set of assumptions that have each been tested and found wanting in the opening week of what U.S. commanders have referred to in public briefings as a campaign against Iran's remaining ballistic missile capability. The first assumption was that depth equaled invulnerability. Iran built its underground facilities at depths of 80 to 90 meters, reinforced with concrete and packed with enough earth and rock to defeat even some of the heaviest conventional munitions in the U.S. inventory.
But
for years, that assumption was broadly correct.
But
most bombs, even large ones, cannot reliably penetrate that far. But the U.S. arsenal includes one weapon that was specifically designed to solve this exact problem. The GBU, 57 massive ordnance penetrator, a 30,000-pound precision-guided bomb that is the largest
30,000.
conventional bunker-busting weapon ever built, capable of penetrating reinforced concrete and compressed rock to depths that were once considered unreachable. Only one aircraft in the U.S. fleet can carry it, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, and the B-2 was deployed to this operation. The second assumption was that the tunnel network itself provided operational continuity. Even if some entrances were struck, the thinking went, other routes would remain open. Personnel could move. Supplies could flow. Missiles could still be brought to launch position. This assumption has reportedly been shattered by the combination of precision strike accuracy and the sheer scale of the targeting effort. Admiral Brad Cooper, speaking at a U.S. Central Command briefing.
This is a video you should watch. I put the links in chat. You should watch that video, how he breaks it down. It's so well done. And it explains the tunnel systems, the missile cities, and how they are actually vulnerable, that they're not impenetrable like the Iranians thought they would be. And he really breaks it down well. I would suggest you watch that and give yourself a little background. I watched it last night and it was well done by that individual. So I put the links in chat on both Rumble and YouTube. Go check it out. It's like I said, the links are there. If you want a little background on what we've been doing and trying to take out these underground facilities, burying them, literally burying them. They're trapped inside. It's not necessarily penetrating and exploding, even though it has happened, but it's also burying them, trapping them inside. And he says in that video, I'm not saying, he estimates, this is his, you'll see the video. I was like, what? Did I hear that right? He says 200 to 300,000 personnel are trapped right now in Iran underground. You heard that right. In that video, he says 200 to 300,000 personnel are trapped underground right now. I find that to be, I don't necessarily know if I believe that. I have to be honest. I don't know if I believe that. That number, 200 to 300,000, is that where they all are? That's why when Secy says, where are they? Where's all the forces? Where's the IRGC forces? They're nowhere to be seen. Well, maybe because they're all buried underground. Maybe that's why. They can't get out. They're trapped. And that's if they still have air. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. I'm speculating, but maybe that's why we don't see them, because they're buried. Yeah, Witch Moon, go check out that link when you have time. Watch that video. He explains it. This guy should be in government. The way he knows his stuff and he's speaking. Oh my God. I was watching that last night and I was hooked. Because that's when Steve was over. I was like, I need to find something to watch now. And I stumbled on him and I said, oh, matter of fact, I need to subscribe to him. Because he was on the money. I got to subscribe to this guy. Yeah, subscribe. Get the notification. Yes. I want to see what else he has. I got to look at his history. Oh, he's got a nice little following. Actually, he just started to get he only has 2,000 subscribers, 6 videos. He just started. He's got another one. He's got another one.
Architecture of the threat itself, because Iran did not stumble into this confrontation. It engineered it, deliberately and with intent. The Strait of Hormuz is, by any measure, an indispensable art.
Oh, I'm going to have to, he's new, but that video, you got to watch it. All right, there's more coming out that I'm going to get off because I got to get ready to take Mom to the doctor. What does this say? Alarms. Half of Israel is in bomb shelters right now. Something big is going on. This is a reporter, Amir, from Israel. This is right now in Israel. He just, those sounds you heard were this. You put it in the queue. Again, I'm going based on what he's reporting. I'm not saying that I believe it, because that's just an incredible number to think that 200,000 to 300,000 are trapped underground right now. That's what he's stating. I cannot. Millions of Israelis are in bomb shelters right now. Something's going on. And they're repeating it all over. Millions of Israelis are in bomb shelters right now. Something's going on right now. It's a big scale. This could be a big scale event happening right now. Hold on. We're not leaving yet. Even though I gotta go, but something may be brewing right now. I gotta see if this one, because there's like these streams that I can use that I don't get in trouble. You know what I mean? But if okay, here's a live view of Tel Aviv. There are some I can use without getting in trouble. This is actually a China, believe it or not, related stream. But they'll put the cameras down. They have to. But let's see if we hear anything. Like, I don't have my early warning thing on right now. You have family in Israel military? Wow. Well, I send my prayers to them, to everyone. But let's see. I don't have my alert system on. I shut it down because it was driving me crazy. I can't sleep. Maybe you guys are getting the alerts. But this just came out, so I don't know if it was an early warning detection. My phone will go nuts if I put it on now. But it seems like Tel Aviv is definitely in the area that's got the alerts, because I just shared it on the screen. There's more coming in. Haifa, multiple falls of shrapnel, so it's already happening. It's already happening. Oh my God. Wow. This is what as Israel News, ILTV is reporting. This is so sad. Iran executes 19-year-old wrestler Saleh Mohammadi. That is horrible. He was there for the protests in January. Look how disgusting. Disgusting. This is what this regime's about. Disgusting. That is so sad. Three of them were hung in Qom after a sham trial. Reports indicate torture, forced confessions, no access to chosen lawyers, closed-door proceedings, no right to appeal. Disgusting. Three of them. 3 young people. The others was Mehdi Ghassemi and Saeed Davoudi. This gets me. This gets my blood boiling when I see stuff like this. Because they were protesting, they executed them. This. Oh. So I think whatever happened is done. Because he said that there's shrapnel falling in Haifa. I can go back, but I don't want to do that. Anyway, I need to get off because I got to take Mom to the doctor. Anyway, you lovelies, have a blessed day. And to those in Iran, enjoy your Persian New Year any way you can, whether you're in the country or external. Enjoy the Persian New Year. Blessings to all of you, everyone that may be watching right now. And just keep an eye on 2C TV, Agenda Free with Steve, Goldie, and Armin. Keep an eye on their streams because they're providing really information that is important, at least in my opinion. All right, I'm going to get off now and take care of business here. I'll be back later on this afternoon.